girl. So, as we're leading up to this big conversation that is brewing, I want to give a little bit of backstory about my journey, because I feel like by the time I do this, well, let's listen to the music. Let's listen to music first, so I can calm my spirit, um, so that I don't flash out on this line. Should I do a little bit of? Oh yes, oh yes. This is a story about DJ Slash about the a city in Louisiana, New Orleans. Actually, all of Louisiana. The city in New Orleans. Down in the city. Down in the city. That care for God. That care for God. DJ Flash on the track. If he do the beat, then the shit Purple Prodigy. Y'all heard me? Mostly the have-nots. DJ Flash, what's up? All right, Slash. Down in the city. Come on. That care for God. Down in the city. That care for God. Come on. Down in the city. That care for God. Down in the city, that care for God. I can still hear the voices of the hand. And I almost say, the have-not. The have-not. Everybody got pain. Everybody got problems. We gon' have to come together. If we ever been sober, can't see love daddy and ignore mama. Can't stand in the same place. If you wanna go further, down in the city. Voices of the hand and have not. Oh, mostly the have not. Pain. Everybody got problems. We gon' have to come together if we ever want to solve them. Can't say you love daddy. Can't stand in the same place. If you wanna go drive down in the city. So I started working on the PowerPoint about the House of Tulips today, and it has become bigger than that. That might be one of my grandchildren. I don't know, but I do got some grandbabies. But I started working on the House of Tulips document, well, PowerPoint, and it became bigger. It's become more about making a chronological narrative of the impact that New Legacy has had on the movement in New Orleans, Louisiana. And it's still going to dig into House of Tulips, but as I like to say,
a quote from New Jack City: "This shit is bigger than Nino Brown." And so there will be a moment where we dig into House of Tulips, but today we're gonna take a little bit of time and just really dissect the backstory, because when I get ready to put out this timeline, I don't want to get caught up in a lot of things. Like, I don't want to get caught up. I think I need to process a little bit before I start to create the timeline, and I need to get just a few things off my chest that I have probably stated in the past, but I was not in a place to state them calmly and clearly and just be factual and not necessarily be in an emotional space. Okay. And I can't promise that there may not be a little bit of emotion that may jump into this conversation. Like, I can't say that emotions won't seep in, because I am having a human experience and I have been through a lot. I'm a 48-year-old melanin rich black trans person from the South who grew up below the poverty line. So you'll have to excuse me if my humanity decides to show up every now and again. It happens. It happens. But I also want to say to people who really support this work, before I really get into the conversation of, yeah, it would be nice if some of you would click like, because I feel like it's a lot of monitoring spirits on here, because I'm not really seeing those thumbs up going up. So you coming back to stalk later? Are you trying to push it through the algorithm? Do you support the work? Do you support the community? What exactly are you here for? Because we still at three thumbs up, and it's done been 23 people on this live at one point, and nobody came on to say, let me just go ahead and click the thumbs up. So a lot of y'all are not in support of truth. A lot of y'all are not in support of healing. A lot of y'all like things the way that they are, and y'all want things to continue on the path that it's going on. And that's why y'all don't support me. Because the ugly truth is, things have to get uglier. Yeah, go ahead and block that one. You be bouncing on it. Go ahead. Yeah, because I tried to be nice at first. But yeah, right now you coming to distract. So anyway, for those of you who really support this work, for those of you who really here for the work that we're doing, um, I've decided that I want to have the 8th anniversary for Laylim Layler. I want to shoot some of the footage at my grandmother's home in Bogalusa. And so anybody who has the resources to support transportation and housing for us to be there in Bogalusa, that's coming up on the 20th. Anybody who would like to donate to helping core members of this practice get to Bogalusa, that's a spiritual moment that I would like to share. I would like to visit my grandmother's gravesite. I would like to, go be around my grandmother's home. I would like to be in Bogalusa. Bogalusa is Indian for muddy waters, for smoky waters, and I feel like we in this practice we've been getting it out of the mud. So anyone who would like to contribute to supporting us going to the town where I was raised in to do part of our consecration for this 8th year celebration, feel free to, cash at me at Laylim Layler. Whatever you can give will be appreciated. If you can't give anything, then just don't speak negatively on it. Like think positive. Like send supportive energy. One of the things that can be said about this platform is, though I have a small platform, y'all have literally seen me do giveaways on here. I've given away $500 to people on this platform, 250 to one person and 250 to another person. So never let it be said that this is not a platform that gives back. Even with the limited resources that we have, we give back on here. So, when we have, we give back. We look out for, you know what I'm saying? That is evident. The proof is in the pudding. The receipts are all there. Okay? We give back. We look out for ours. So when y'all so into the work that I do, know that it is going back into community. And no, it is not going back into the community in a way that you could always see it, because I'm not a person who believes in exploiting people, and I'm also not working with $1 million budget. But I can say again, some of the people in this community who are getting thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars ain't done half of what I've done with nothing. Which brings me to my point of doing this video. So I'm gonna give y'all a little backstory because in creating this timeline, I feel like it's important to give you a backstory of what I have been up against since I started doing work here in Louisiana, since I started doing work here in New Orleans. Now let's be clear. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, at Charity Hospital. I have a copy of. I have my birth certificate. It said on my birth certificate I was born at Charity Hospital in June the 18th, 1977, right there on Tulane. Okay. Ironically, that is where I had my tonsils taken out. Um, that was one of the first surgeries that I had in my life. Well, was the first surgery I had in my life, was having my tonsils taken out when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I don't even remember why they needed to take them out. But, that's a whole nother video. Anyway, my mother was a single parent. My mother was a single parent, and my grandmother had a husband, and wanted to my grandmother wanted to raise me. I was born male, so she saw this as her opportunity to raise another boy. In a patriarchal society, we always get excited about raising boys. So she had my grandfather, so it was a two-parent home. So my mother felt like it would be best for my grandmother to raise me because it was my mom and two girls. So, my mom and my two baby sisters, then it was my auntie and two other girls, because all my auntie, well, three other girls, because all my auntie had was girls, and they lived right next door to each other. So I was the only male around five other girls. My mama's other two daughters and my auntie's other three daughters. So rather than me be around all of those women, my mom said we're gonna send him to Bogalusa so that he could be raised in a two-parent home, because they was trying to keep me from becoming. They was trying to keep me so I was not raised in New Orleans, because they were trying to keep me from being, get me. So in New Orleans, it's a heavy culture. New Orleans is my birthright, though. Like, like all these girls could say what they want to say. The ancestors were so intent on me being born here, were so intent on me coming through this gate, that I was conceived somewhere else, but still born here. Okay? I was conceived elsewhere, but still born here. So it was my divine right to come through this gate. Now, for other reasons, I wasn't raised here. I didn't grow up here. But every holiday during my childhood, from the time that I was 6, when I moved here, because I moved to Bogalusa for the first grade. When I moved to Bogalusa, I moved there at 6. I went to Andrew Jackson in the kindergarten. I went to I grew up in Bogalusa, Louisiana, and I'm thankful. Like, I don't regret growing up there, because a lot of children in New Orleans were not socialized around white people at a young age. They only saw white people when they went to the doctor, or when they went, or when they went somewhere outside of their neighborhood. But in New Orleans, a lot of black people were socialized to only be around black people. Like, I don't think my sisters were around white people in a school setting until they was like in high school. But like, all the way up to like the seventh and eighth grade, they were around nothing but black people, and it does something to you mentally when you don't experience Caucasian people in a interactive way during your childhood. And a lot of New Orleans natives did not experience Caucasian people in that way until they were like almost in high school. So I don't regret being raised in Bogalusa. I don't regret being exposed to white people in a school setting, in an academic setting at an early age. Was it difficult? Did I reject them? Did I struggle with it? Oh yes, I struggled with my teachers. I said mean things to my white teachers. I was I got in trouble a lot. I went against them a lot. I challenged them a lot. Like I had this one white teacher, some of my first white teachers, I could not stand them because I was not used to being around white people because in New Orleans, that's not what it was. The teachers were black, all of the children at the school were black. So there was still a form of segregation that was really, really heavy in New Orleans. And I didn't experience that because I was brought up in Bogalusa around my grandmother. So I was exposed to white people at an earlier age. And so, but anyway, because I was not brought up in New Orleans, a lot of that made it very difficult for me, even though this is my birthright. It's period. I have done more for the elevation of this community, and this is not me bragging. This is not me trying to put other girls down. This is not me talking down on girls. This is just me stating the facts. I I have done so much to impact and to elevate this movement. And the reason why it's always been a legitimate excuse for girls to try to push me out or for girls to try to play in my face is because I didn't go to high school with you. Because I didn't go to junior high with you. You girls lived here your whole life. And what have you done for this city besides help to bring it down? Besides be greedy and selfish and think about yourself. A lot of you were born and raised here, and you're the reason for this movement being the shape that it's in. The only thing you can do is brag about the school that you went to and brag about how you knew this and you was in the hood and all the DJs you went to. That's all you got. That's all you got. That's all you got. Some of y'all think that because y'all ain't never left here and y'all have always been loyal, or y'all have always been loyal, you think that your loyalty is what makes you special. But some of y'all are a toxin. Some of y'all are barnacles that need to be scraped. Let me tell you the difference between me and a lot of y'all. When you are raising a royal, when you are raising a sovereign being, how you raise them is they are well traveled, they are exposed to things, they go places, they learn different things, they experience different things. But when you are raising workhorses and worker bees, you never let them see anything outside of what's in front of them. You keep them in a very condensed location and they don't have any experiences outside of that. That's not how you raise sovereign beings. That's how y'all brag that y'all have been here and y'all ain't never left, and y'all see that as a flex, and it's not. It's not. And so I say that to say this. When I first came back to New Orleans, cause I was here on and off throughout my childhood. So my grandmother used to bring me down here because family was very important. So I came to New Orleans every weekend during my childhood. I want to say I came every holiday, I came every weekend, and my mom went from living on Chippewa, because where Andrew Jackson used to be, she went from living there to living um she went from living in the methamphetamine projects. So when I started to come down to see my mama, she was living in the methamphetamine projects, and when I tell you, I remember the pissy hallways. I remember being up in the kitchen all night killing roaches. I remember Face, who lived in the methamphetamine projects, who had burns, who used to like pick on me and tease me. I remember T. Daryl. I remember Damien. I remember Sister. Uh, I remember playing Cool Cans where you had the stick and you had the ball and they was trying to knock over the cans behind you. I remember the Johnny Plug where you used to cut the fire hydrant on and let it fill up, and they used to flood the bottom of the sidewalks and stuff, and we'll be like, that was our swimming pool. I remember one day, I mean, it was so much water everywhere. That was one of the best days of my life. Like when they just let the fire hydrant go, and we was just all just running from building to building, like diving in the water, and like so like those were some of the funnest times of my life. But it was also some of the scariest times of my life because I saw people get shot. I saw like I wasn't even 10 years old. Maybe I was 11 the first time I saw somebody get shot. You know what I'm saying? I was watching from the balcony and I saw this guy get shot in a park. Then when I was like 14 in Bogalusa, I saw somebody get stabbed to death. So I've seen things as a child that have altered and that have I carry trauma with me because I've literally seen people be unalived. Anyway, um at around 13 or 14, um I came at around 13 or 14. I couldn't hide like it wasn't a question of if I was too feminine or not. It wasn't a question of um like I really was just I couldn't hide it anymore. You saw it in my walk, you saw it in the way that my mannerisms, it wasn't a passing phase anymore. My femininity started to become so apparent that it started to make me a target. So my sister, my younger sister, who's like 9 months younger than me, I think they call it Irish twins because we literally like 9 months apart. She was always kind of like the oldest one because I'm a Gemini and she's a Virgo, so she was always kind of like the one that mama listened to because they both was Virgo, so they had that Virgo bond. And I feel like she was the mother figure because my mom used to give her shenanigans, and I'm not gonna go into that because I'm not dragging my mama on this live. But my mama used to deal with issues, and my mama would be in a certain place and my sister would have to kind of like take charge because I was only there for the weekends and the summer. Like I was there for the holidays, the weekends and the summer. So the one who was really like running the house was my sister who was younger than me. So imagine if I'm 12, 13 years old, my sister 11 or 12, and she already acting like an adult. Like she already acting like the parent. She's responsible for my little sister, and she's also responsible for keeping my mom safe to a certain degree. So we had our own dysfunction and our own things that we were dealing with. And that played on me a lot because this is my mama, this is my siblings. I love them, but I don't have no autonomy. I can't make my grandmother let me come back to New Orleans. So some of my acting out and some of the things that I did in school and some of my behavior was attributed to being separated from my mama and my sisters. But when my femininity became so apparent that we couldn't hide it anymore and I started to become a target, boys started trying to force themselves on me, started trying to beat me up to have sex with them and all this type of stuff. Like all of these things started happening. And so they stopped me from coming to New Orleans. They stopped me, I had to stay in Bogalusa. So not being able to come to New Orleans anymore, I started to rebel. I started to do all type of crazy stuff because I now through therapy and through the work that I've been doing with my intuitive counselor, I'm able to have these conversations and I'm able to heal from these conversations when at one time I would never talk about this on live, and I also would not be able to talk about it without getting emotional. But now, like, I didn't even talk about this stuff in my book. So this is this is stuff that it took me. I talked about a lot of stuff in my book, and I kind of grazed over it in my book because I wasn't trying to villainize anybody. But some of the things that I've said so far on this live, I've never said out loud to, but maybe one or two people. And when I stopped coming to New Orleans, I really started acting out. Um I started to become vulnerable to grown men, and I started sneaking out, and I started to become sexually active, and because I lost that bond. But when I was around my sisters in New Orleans, I thought about it, but I never acted on it. I never acted on the behavior. Like, we had so much fun doing other things. Sex wasn't really a thought, but in Bogalusa, that's all it is to do. There's nothing else to do. Like my cousins up there, one of my closest cousins popped up pregnant when she was like 11 years old. Like, that's what everybody was doing. Like, all of my queer friends my age were having oral sex and was giving boys head in the bushes and stuff when they was 10 and 11 years old. So me not having done that at the age of 12 or 13, child, I thought I was doing something. My mama didn't think so, because when she found out I was having sex, she wore me out, and that was tragic. But I thought I was doing something because everybody that I was hanging around was already having sex. They was already engaging, 10 and 11 years old, already being penetrated, already having oral sex. I had done a little sword fighting, but I hadn't let nobody inside my mouth or my booty until I was like 14 years old. So, but anyway, I started to act out and rebel because I was separated from my mom and my sisters. I was separated from my mom and my sisters. And people think people think that because I was feminine, that I didn't have a protective spirit. And I get that my family was trying to protect me, but I would have laid my life down for my sisters. I would have laid my life down for my mom. I saw what my mama was going through in New Orleans. I saw the things that my sisters was going through in New Orleans, and I was not there to protect them. I wasn't there to help them, and they had to go through all of that without me. And I know that my family meant well, but I still had to live with that. I still had to live with not being able to grow up around my sisters and not being able to be there for my mom when I was a child. And I think I just started acting out. I started acting out because of that. I started acting out because people didn't understand my femininity. People didn't understand my connection to my foremothers. People didn't understand why I was more feminine than masculine. They had negative thoughts about it. I had to argue with my uncle all the time. Like, when I hit puberty, that's when things really started to hit the fan. Me and my uncle was constantly getting into it. Me and my stepdaddy, my grandfather, the one who adopted me, we was constantly getting into it. The man who had always been my father, I was getting into with him. Like, so much, I lost all of my male friends. All of my male friends in Bogalusa, they started to push away from me. There was a time where I just felt like I didn't have anybody, and then I found community again in the queer community in Bogalusa. But I was the black sheep, because I was the most dark skinned. At first, I was the most dark skinned. I was the skinniest. My crooked teeth came in when I was around 12. So, they used to make fun of my teeth, my breath, my skin, and it was crazy because they talked about me and they put me down, but there was just something about me. There's always been something about me that was magnetic, and I was pulling all the boys that they wanted with these crooked teeth, with this breath, with this dark skin. I was the ugly duckling of the group. Let the story be told. But I was still pulling all the boys that they wanted, and it was my spirit. It was my energy. It was my spirit and my energy that always pulled them to me. And so there's always been the thing that made me stand out. Also has always intimidated people and made them feel threatened. It's because I'm not just a body, I have a brain, and I've always challenged things. Even in the church when I was growing up, I asked so many questions that the teacher decided that I shouldn't be in the classroom. You know how they how they got me, because I asked so many questions about the Bible when I was little. How they worked me was they let me start teaching the 3 and 5 year olds. So instead of letting me stay in the class so that I could ask questions and continue to learn, because I was already asking questions that they couldn't answer at 11 years old. At 11 years old, I was already asking questions that the teachers could not answer. And so, how they dealt with that was they let me teach the children that was coming to Sunday school that were 3, 4, and 5, and 6. They made me a Sunday school teacher to because they couldn't answer the questions that I was asking. I was being prepared to become a pastor. I was being groomed to become the pastor, but my femininity started to take over. I couldn't hide my femininity. I couldn't hide it. I couldn't hide my femininity. So that became a distraction from me being able to. And they tried everything. Like, I'm telling you, like, when people be telling stories about, oh, I didn't have a father figure. I had father figures. I was in the Boy Scouts. I took swimming lessons from a man. I took karate lessons from a man. I had my stepdaddy. I had my uncle. I had my grandfather. I had plenty of male role models. This was not because I lacked male guidance or because I lacked men in my life. That's just literally how powerful this thing is. That's how powerful this how much it was meant. It could not be stopped. I am one child who could say that from 6 on up, I did not lack male guidance. I did not lack male role models. I had so many male role models, but I've always paid attention to things that other children my age did not pay attention to. I noticed my pastor, who was a happily married man, rubbing on a woman in an inappropriate way when I was like 6 years old. And my grandmother, I said, Mama, why is he touching her like that? That's not his wife. And my grandmother, I call her my mama, she slapped me in my mouth and she said, Boy, you too damn honest. But I noticed the things that men did when I was young, and I never resonated with it. I never resonated with it. I never resonated with how they treated women, how they treated females. I never resonated with that. I never resonated with acting the way that they acted in order to maintain their masculinity or to be perceived as men. I never resonated with that. I tried to fit in for the sake of my family, but I never resonated with that. I never resonated with the behavior. I never resonated with how they were being groomed to behave predatory. I never resonated with that. Yeah, I saw it as a child. I witnessed it. I witnessed the behavior. I witnessed how they maneuvered. I witnessed the things that they did and how they act. And I never resonated with it. Hey Fatima. I love you too, baby. I never resonated with it. And so it was so many things that I saw that just affirmed that my relationship to my divine feminine and my foremothers, was not shameful. But, growing up in the church, being brought up in a patriarchy, um, you see and you don't see. You understand, but you don't have the backing. Because let's be clear, I didn't know about black kings and queens. I didn't know that there were stories about black gods and goddesses. I didn't know any of those stories until me and my grandmother around 16 or 17 years old. So I went to go and live with my mom in Milwaukee. And I went to go and live with my mom in Milwaukee when I turned 16. I stayed there for almost a year. Had one of the most amazing experiences of my life in Milwaukee. Got on the stage. The children was laughing at me, but by the end, I've told this story before. It was about 2,000 people in there. I got a full standing ovation. When I walked on the stage, they were laughing at me. When I finished my poem, I got a standing ovation. And I had already started my transition. That's why they was cackling. But when I left off that stage, I left off that stage with a standing ovation. And that was the first time that I did alchemy at that level. And I didn't even realize, now reflecting upon it, I realized that that was alchemy. I realized that I transmuted energy in that space. I realized that I was able to transform the energy. I had been doing it before then, but I didn't know. Like that, I think that's the key moment when I realized that I was a high level alchemist. And this is why girls have never really like this is why a lot of when I say girls, I'm talking about other trans girls. This is why they've never really they don't really fuck with me. They don't really like me, because they see the power. Girls are intuitive. They can see power on you. And so a lot of them will try to demonize you or make you into the bad guy or try to put you down because they see your power, and rather than celebrate it and rather than just acknowledging it, because in our community there's a seed in our community where everybody want to be the chief and don't nobody want to be the enemy, the Indians. Everybody want to be the chief, but don't nobody want to be Indians. And this the thing, I don't want to be the chief. But I'm always put in that position for some reason. I've heard stories where they said the one that don't want it is the one that end up getting it. And I don't need that. I don't need to be at the top. I don't need to be on top. I don't need to be the boss. I don't need to be in control. I'm not power hungry. I am hungry for the elevation of our people. I am hungry. I am a person that is going to protect the integrity of what I stand for and what I'm willing to stand behind fearlessly. And I think sometimes y'all get that confused with me wanting power. No, that's me not wanting you to deteriorate what I'm building, what I'm being used to build, what I'm being called to build. I will defend it fearlessly. And y'all feel threatened by that. So anyway, yeah, so I ended up having to leave from by my mom because me and my mama got into it. Virgo Gemini. We got into it. I ended up coming back home to Louisiana. My mama had already like opened the door to support me and really just, like my mama like supported my transition. Like when I left, I was wearing hair and I was wearing um non-binary clothing. Like I would always go and find the most feminine thing in the boys section. Like I would find tops that were too small and my stomach would be out, or I would find the most feminine acid wash jeans, the most lightly colored. I would find clothes that pants that made it look like I had hips. Like I would shop for clothes that were just naturally, when I put them on, it gave some non-binary, it gave more feminine than masculine. So I started doing that at around 14 years old. By the time I was 17, by the time I was 16, 17, I was dressing, wearing hair, stealing my grandmother hormone pills. I was on my way, honey. I was doing the things, baby. Before about 15, 16, I started stealing her, but 15 I had started stealing her hormone pills. And then when I came back when I was 17, you know what I'm saying? My mama hadn't already started supporting me in wearing full female clothing. She wanted to use male pronouns, but she didn't have no problem with me wearing girl clothes. But she was like, I'm her son, I'm a boy, but she had no problem with me dressing up like a girl. She had no problem with me putting on girl clothes because in her mind, I was still her son. But she had no problem. And it was so crazy because when we used to be out in public together, people used to think I was her sister. And she would get mad and correct them and be like, no, that's my son. And I'm like, Mama, do you see? Are you looking at me? Like, anyway, but my mom had to push open the door, and so I wasn't going back. Like once my mom supported me in wearing female clothes, when I got back to my grandmother's house, she was trying to put me back in boy clothes, and it was like, girl, it's not happening, girl, no ma'am, girl. It's my mom, the womb that I sat in for 9 months, done supported me in wearing girl clothes, girl. I'm not about to put on no boy clothes, girl. So I was a handful for my grandmother and my uncle. My grandmother was really gonna let it rock because my mama used to call my grandmother and be like, don't do that. You know, we knew like don't do that. So my grandmother was gonna let it rock, but my uncle, he couldn't stand it. So every chance he got, he tortured me. He pinned me down on the floor with jewelry on, and this was a big old man. This wasn't a small man, and I was a buck 05 when I was in my teens. Like I was a buck 05 soaking wet. I was probably like 120 pounds, 118 pounds. At the biggest, I was maybe like 155. So he pinned me down on the floor and he used to punch me and he used to beat me all the time trying to toughen me up. So I didn't know what to do and I got tired of it and I couldn't take it anymore. And I called my grandmother while she was at work because it was Spirit Day. So I was trying to dress. I was trying to give you full geese, honey. I was gonna wear my dress because I would wear girl clothes. I wouldn't really wear dresses. So I would wear like really, really feminine girl clothes, but I would never really wear dresses. So I was finna put on a dress that day. And my uncle caught me in my grandmother's closet trying to find a dress to put on. And my uncle, my uncle started chasing me around the house trying to fight me. And so I called my grandmother, and my grandma said, fight him back. Child, I went and found a knife in the kitchen and I chased him around the house like a cartoon, like Ren and Stimpy. I chased him around the house, and I chased him around the house, and I chased him around the house, and I chased him around the house. And after that, he never messed with me anymore. I chased him around the house with a cleaver. And if I would have caught him, I would have stabbed him. And he knew it. I would have stabbed him. I was tired. I was tired of being bullied. So after I stood up to him, I started to get real cocky, and I started going out, coming in all times of night, and my grandmother couldn't do nothing with me. So, she called the police on me. And the police took me to the mental hospital, took me to another mental hospital because I went to quite a few of them. Took me to another mental hospital. And then when I got released from the mental hospital, I went to job court, but job court found out that I was in the mental hospital. So Job Corps put me out of the mental hospital because you supposed to have at least 6 months in between. Like you can't go straight from a mental hospital to Job Corps. So once Job Corps found out I had been in a mental hospital, they sent me back home. The mental hospital couldn't keep me, and I couldn't go back to my grandmother's house. So I ended up um, getting drove by the police officers to New Orleans, who dropped me off at the Covenant House when I was 17 years old. So that was my re-entry on my own back into the city of New Orleans. At 17 years old, I was staying in the Covenant House and I was on my own. Barely 17. I mean, barely 17. I was on my own, staying in the Covenant House in New Orleans. The president of the resident advocacy took me under his belt, and I was working with him. I'm not gonna name him, although I could. And he used to be, he was attracted to me. So um, he wore suits, and he had a business look, and I admired his power because he was the president of the resident advocacy. So I was his little minion, his little follower. Everywhere he went, I was, bitch. I was like his shadow. And he abused his power, and he used to ask me to give him head. So me wanting his protection, me wanting his advocacy, me wanting to be able to be close to him because of his proximity to power. And he had Mardell K was over the Covenant House at that time, was the executive director. He had her ear. And so me wanting to be close and wanting to have the access, I did what he asked. So when I would be on the elevator, I would perform oral on him. When the doors were closed, I would give him head, and sometimes he would like pause the elevator, so he could get as much head as he wanted. So after he advanced and he left out of the program, he recommended me to be the president of the resident council. Now, although I got the position from sleeping my way into the position, I did an amazing job. And it's unfortunate that as feminine beings, sometimes that's the only way through the door for us. We have to do compromising things in order to get noticed. But I did an amazing job when I got the position. I put on a talent show, I put on a fundraiser, I brought a lot of amazing ideas to help to elevate Covenant House and to bring Covenant House to the next level. I did an amazing job, but unfortunately, because of the reality that we live in, sometimes the only way through the door is through getting on your knees or bending over. That's just the reality. But once I got the position, I personally feel like I accomplished more than he did. But I would have never gotten the position. I would have never been taken seriously. I would have never gotten the opportunity if I wouldn't have gotten on my knees. And that's unfortunate, and that's just it was this was the early 90s. It was what, 1993, 1992, child. This was a while back. So anyway, I'm at the Covenant House, and I really, really, like, I was in a different space at that time, but the girls have always kind of like kept me at an arm's length because I wasn't raised here, because I couldn't spout off that I went to any of the high schools that they went to. I couldn't say, oh, I went to John Mack or I went to McDonald 35. Like I couldn't give all of that. I couldn't give I went to Kennedy. I couldn't give that. The girls use their high school background and the ward that they're from like it's some type of pedigree. The girls use that in this community like it's some form of pedigree. And as a girl who has traveled, I have to say that is not uncommon. That is not unique to New Orleans. Girls are territorial like that all over the country. In New York, the girls that are in the ballroom scene, in Baltimore, in DC, the girls are very, very territorial. And I think that is a part of social engineering. I think is a part of colonization, and I think that that has worked to the detriment of our collective healing. Because when you think small, when you think local, you will never be able to be a leader that will be able to unite communities all over the country. You will never have a mass movement. You will always have a small movement because you are small minded and you are bound by your hood. Yeah, and that is a cage that you placed yourself in. And so I used to be envious. I used to feel less than because I could not give what those girls give. I could not speak like that. I could not name a school that they knew. I could not give you all that. But ma'am, by the time I was 16 years old, I was living in Milwaukee, and I was a part of the pep squad and a pep rally, and I was giving speeches that were giving me standing ovations in a whole nother part of the country. So I'm not sorry. But before you're 26 years old and your critical thinking matter sets in, you feel intimidated. So I've always felt like an outsider in New Orleans. Fast forward, because a couple of things happened to me while I was at the Covenant House. I remember this one time I had this girl that I was close with. She wasn't a girl, she was a boy, but she used to do drag. And she used to do drag, and I would give her my clothes to do drag in, like, because I wasn't really a girl's girl. Like, I would wear things sometimes, but the way my Gemini was set up, if I had like a gown or I had something pretty, I probably would just wear it one time and then it'll sit in the closet. Because I like the capri shorts. I like the long sleeve things. Before I started working at Papa Joe's, I wasn't really on a prostitute thing. Like, I wasn't really on giving you like sex siren and dressing like that. I was really that's why I love my relationship with Purple Prodigy, because she reminds me of myself before the world had did a lot of what it did to me. I used to get through because I didn't do too much, and that's been my experience with her. Like, when me and her are out together, sometimes, very rarely, she'll get misgendered, but a lot of times me and her together, and older men, they'll make space for us, and they'll say, have a good day, ladies, excuse me, ladies. And it's not girls, it's not women, it's specifically ladies. And so that means that they see us in a respectful way. And there's been several times where me and her have been out together and that's happened, and she effortlessly does it. Like, she wear t-shirts and long pants and no makeup with her natural hair, wash face, and we get that all the time. Get it all the time. And it reminds me of when I was young, of the effortlessness, when I wasn't trying to do too much, how easy it was for people to see the spirit when you really, really existing in who you are and you're not overdoing it. Because at some point you start overdoing it so much to where you actually need it. But there was a time in my life where I was getting through effortlessly because I wasn't doing the most. I was literally letting my spirit and letting my energy speak for me. And so I remember that period, and because I moved like that, I was always plucking boys. Always plucking high boys. High boys always wanted me. I mean, just would just be living for me. Just always be wanting to have. And I'm just effortlessly. I ain't doing the most. I ain't getting carried away. I got a simple little rap. I got on a little girl t-shirt with the little quarter length sleeves coming to here, some little capri shorts, some cute little tennis shoes, washed face, lip gloss, a little mascara, a little eyeliner, period. That's it. A cup titties. Breaking it the fuck up. So Trey walking with me in the daytime, walking with me everywhere, hitting it with me everywhere, and I'm not doing all the stuff that the other girls are doing. I'm effortlessly. Sometimes I have on a headscarf. So so the girl that was staying in the house with us, um, well, the gay person, because it was really a gay boy. But you know, they had their girl name and they used to do drag, but they was living as a boy. And they could not pluck the kind of boys that I was plucking. So I think that they began to become envious of me. And there was some discord that grew between us. So one day, now mind you, I paid for the house because I had saved $1,400 staying at the Covenant House. Now I was 17 years old at this time. So imagine what what $1,400 was over damn near almost 30 years ago. Like $1,400 was a cute coin. Hell, $200 was a cute coin way back then in the early 90s. So $1,400 was a nasty coin. Okay, so I had saved $1,400 and I paid the rent and I paid the deposit and I paid the light bill for the house. But my name couldn't go on the lease because I wasn't old enough to have a lease in New Orleans because you have to be 18 years old to be on the lease. So she got tired of me bringing home boys that she wanted to have because she'll try to flirt with them on the way up out the house and they would pay her dust. And she would try to have them and they would pay her dust. So she got tired of it. So one day I came home and she had her family waiting for me in the house, and all of them, her cousins, her brothers, like it was about 5 or 6 of them, and they all had ice picks in their hand. They all had ice picks in their hand for little old me. And she told me to leave. And if I wouldn't have left, they was going to kill me in their house because she wanted the apartment and she wanted to get out. I walked through the door and her family was standing in the kitchen with ice picks and they told me to get out. So I gathered up some of my things and I left and I waited a couple of weeks and I came back. And when I came back, she was in the yard fighting with this boy who was twice her size. I mean, arms was huge, chest was big, legs was big, and he was beating the dog piss out of her. He was dragging her. Now, mind you, this was my sister at first. And if me and her wouldn't have fell out, I would have helped her. I would have picked up something and tried to help her. But I didn't feel any cause to help her. I had another friend with me and we came with bricks and knives because we was coming to fight this hoe because I was going to get the rest of my shit. So I came over there to fight her, but there was no need to fight her because the ancestors was already working on my behalf. She wasn't even an obstacle. When I walked up, he was dragging her. He was mollywhopping her. He was stomping her. And we walked right past. And while she was out there fighting, we gathered the rest of my things up out of the house. Didn't have to raise a hand. It had already been worked out. And that goes to show you that what she did was wicked. That goes to show you that you don't I don't and that just goes to show you when you are not doing anything wrong, when you are not the person that's the problem, It's always gonna be worked out for you. And I've always had that type of anointing over my life, so much so that I'll get in people's business to try to protect them from consequences, because I know that I am not a person who is intentionally malicious. If I do something to you, trust me, I learned my lessons at a young age. I used to be messy and do and say things that was inappropriate, and every time I would do it, I would instantly get punished. Bad things would instantly happen to me. So I'm not saying that I was never the type of person that did things that were deserving of karma, but a lot of my karma I got it young. The ancestors said, "Oh no, baby, you an old soul. You gonna get this work now. You gonna get this work now. You gonna get this work now." So I was in a different wavelength by the time I got 17, 18 years old, because I had already started getting that work at a younger age. The ancestors had already been working on me at a young age. Anyway, um, I got my things, I moved out. I got into it with this other girl who was from New Orleans. And we had to have a fight with her because she couldn't take me. Like, one thing that I will say, all the girls were not against me. It's two girls that I want to give a shout out to early on in my life that always saw it for me and never shaded for me. And it was all I never forget. I was walking up. Shout out to Tony. I'ma say her name, and DeAndre. DeAndre passed on years back. But see, DeAndre and see Tony, the first time that they saw me, they said, "Oh, I was walking with some other girls," and they said, "A pretty black girl." That's a pretty black girl. And DeAndre was never shady to me when we were younger, and Tony was never shady to me. They were siblings. And Tony was never shady to me. Those two girls, beautiful chocolate girls, beautifully naturally pussy, naturally cunt girls. They always gave me my props. They never shaded me. They never had anything negative to say about me. Always spoke highly of me. Later on, me and DeAndre did eventually have words, but this was after Katrina. But before that, like when we was coming up, like those was like the two girls when I was young that I want to say, like before I turned 20 and in my early 20s, those were two trans girls that was never intimidated by me, that never gave me like shady energy, that never gave me you can't sit with me energy. They never gave me that. And it was because they were pussy. They were pussy girls. So anyway, after that happened, there were other girls, cause I got into it with this girl named Monty. Monty was pussy, but Monty was taller, and Monty was a pussy ass girl. But I don't know, like me and Monty we just kind of clashed. We just clashed a lot back then. And for some reason, she wanted me to bow down to her fishiness, and I wasn't about to, like, no girl. Like, and I think one time, it's always a boy. It's always about a boy. One of the boys that liked her liked me, and it was a mess. It was a mess that happened with that, and then we ended up fighting in the street with bricks and purses and all this type of stuff. But later on down the line, me and Monty actually was able to be civil with each other. Then it was later on, before then, it was Miss Jamal, may God goddess rest her soul. Um and then it was Deaky, may God goddess rest her soul. And what was the other girl name? Miss Teresa. Then it was Miss Teresa. And we was walking down the street. I don't know what happened, but I used to always get into it with the girls, and it was because we was out of town girls. So Miss Kobe, went to school in New Orleans until she was like 17, but then she went to Bogalusa and she was raised in Bogalusa. Miss Lando was born in Vernado, I think, but she was raised in Bogalusa. So they would come down here with me. I was the girl that had been down here the longest, but when they saw us as outside girls on their territory. So they always would want to pick fights. Like, child, we was getting into fights just trying to prove that we was that it was okay for us to walk the streets in New Orleans. Like, a lot of shit would just happen because girls just was so territorial that we just wasn't safe a lot of times. But I gotta give a shout out to Priest, because even though I was not raised here, Priest always what and Priest is like legendary. Priest is like gay royalty, like queer royalty. Like, Priest was like a 6'7" black man, gay black man, and somehow this he would miraculously be everywhere where dudes would be trying to fight me, and he would always just defend me. So if there were safe spaces, they were just few and far in between. There was not a lot of safe spaces. A lot of the girls just legit did not see it from me. And there's a long standing history of so many girls hating on me. But anyway, we're fast forwarding now, because and I need to tell this story so that when I'm doing this PowerPoint, all of that doesn't jump into the PowerPoint, because I want to be concise and I want to be clear. And it's kind of hard to create the timeline because the girl has done so much. A girl has been used to do so much. And I don't want this to be no 80 page, no 60 slides. I want this to be a summary, and I want it to hit the points, and I don't want to be like, and that's why I feel like I needed to do a live to just process some of this hell. So when I get ready, cuz I'm on the second slide and I needed to pause for a second, cuz I want to make sure that this doesn't spill into, like, I don't be reading in the slides. So I'm giving myself kudos because I done got this far in and I still ain't drug nobody yet. But anyway, so I was dedicated to New Orleans. I want to say from like 17 to, I think I went back to Bogalusa at around 19 because I had found a boyfriend, and I went back to Bogalusa. I brought him back to Bogalusa. The girls was gagging because I had brought me a man home. His name was Daniel. Um, I don't know where he at right now, but I heard he fine and he looking good and he doing well. Used to look like Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson had all that stuff done. But child, me and Daniel had a crazy relationship because child, Daniel was the only person that, like, I put my PP in him while he put his PP in me. And we was able to penetrate, dual penetration. Like, we penetrated each other at the same time and caught an orgasm at the same time. Child, we was young, we was real flexible. We was flexible, baby. We was rocking. We was like a pretzel at the edge of the bed. We was rocking, and he had old crook piece, and I had old mushroom head, and we had our penises inside of each other, and we were just rocking. Baby, talk about Corbin Sutra, honey. I don't miss that piece, baby, because I did everything with that piece, baby. I got my full worth. I got my full worth with that piece, baby. But anyway, Daniel was a mess. He loved me and he repped me, but he met my grandmother, was at my grandmother's house, but then he wanted to be, but then he wanted to create a baby. He started getting baby fever. So, he couldn't make a baby with me. So he wanted me to be his side piece while he went and made a baby. Like, he didn't want me to break up with him. He wanted me to wait for him while he went and made a baby. And I was like, I'm not going for it. So, me and him started to clash and get into it because he was just doing too much behind my back, and I almost went to prison behind him because I got an aggravated burglary charge, aggravated battery charge that my daddy had to get me off of. in Bogalusa because I broke into the house where he was at with a hoe and tried to beat him in his head with it and almost hit some other people and the police had to come and get me because I was trying to kill him because he threatened my mama. He threatened when he called. People always say I sound like my grandmother. Oh wait a minute, I gotta. Yeah, well we have been on here an hour and 9 minutes, but child, it's gonna be a little lighter than y'all. We gonna work with this light because I'm not about to put it on the torture yet. But anyway, he um he um he threatened. He called my house and he was like, um, bitch, I'ma kill you when I see you. And I'm thinking, well, what if this would have been my grandmother, and he would have said this to my grandmother. So that was the reason why I went and filmed him. It didn't really mess me up to the point to where I was scared. I just know people always told me that I sounded like my grandmother when I answered the phone. And so the thought of him saying that to my grandmother put me in a blind rage. So I was like, what if my grandmother would have answered? I never forget. I was like, what if my grandma would have answered the phone and had a heart attack from that being said to her on the phone? Baby, I walked around their house, baby, and I was in a blind fit of rage. I was in a blind fit of rage, baby. I let people mess over me, but don't play with nobody I love. Don't. That's a no no. Don't play with the people that I love. Don't play. Don't do that. Don't do that. You could get one off on me, but leave my loved ones alone. So, child, my daddy had to. My grandfather was running the prison. My grandfather was like one of the high ranking officers at the prison. So my daddy called in a favor and got my daddy and allowed my daddy to release me on my own recognizance with a $20,000 bond. Didn't even make it to the back. Didn't even make it to the. And baby, when I tell you they was beating on that door, them inmates was beating on that door. Them inmates wanted me back there so bad, I didn't even make it behind the door. I never made it behind the door in Franklin Parish. I never made it behind the door. That one time that I almost went behind that door, my daddy called in a favor to his grandfather, called in a favor to his daddy. And if my grandfather ain't never did nothing for me in his life, he pulled some strings and baby with a $20,000 bond. I never made it to the back. I never saw the other side of that door. Cause there's no location for you to go like in New Orleans. If you get arrested, at least there's a floor that you could go on. Back then there was a floor that you could go on that was for gay, trans, feminine people. There was a wing that we had that you could go on that provided some type of security for you. In Franklinton Parish there was not that. So I was going into population. I was going straight into population. And my daddy made sure, oh, you will not hit population. Oh, you will not go behind their door. Baby, they were beating on their door, baby. They was like I was a manwich meal, honey. They was ready to have their way with me. And my grandfather said, not on my watch. And he released me to my father on a $20,000 bond. Um, of my own recognizance. I had to sign the papers and let baby they don't do stuff like that for anybody. They don't do so. So when I tell you favor was always with me because baby they was gonna wear me out if I'd have got back there, baby. I was a snack. I was gonna be a snack and a meal. Child, I don't know what was gonna happen, honey, but baby, they was gonna devour me if I'd have made it behind that door, but I never made it behind that door. Thank you, God got it. Anyway, fast forward um, I end up coming back to New Orleans because I was in between Bogalusa and New Orleans for a while, but I ended up coming back to New Orleans um when I was like I was here like there was so much moving around And I think it started in my childhood because I went to Alexandria, and Alexandria is where I went on Ricky Lake, and Alexandria is also in Louisiana. So I lived in Alexandria, I want to say for like a year. Like I lived in Alexandria for a minute, but then I came back to New Orleans from Alexandria and I started working at Papa Joe's. That was when I got on at Papa Joe's. Now, it's so crazy because um that's where I met a lot of girls that I have like these weird relationships with now. And it's so crazy because um the girls just took it upon themselves, like they just found reasons not to like me. Like they literally just found reasons not to like me. Um and I will never understand why. I think it was because I was not a follower. Like you could not get me to just go along. Like I remember when all the girls started getting pumped with silicone, I was one of the last girls to get pumped. I was not gonna get pumped. I was not gonna get it done. Um, I I saw some white women had pointed to my boy dance on stage, and I saw them. I was listening to them, and they was letting me know that my boy dance was what made me clocky to them. And so they was like, and so I felt the seed had been planted that made me feel peer pressure because I remember seeing my cousin body, the one who passed away when she was younger. She had these beautiful hips, and I always wanted hips. Like I wanted hips more than I wanted breasts. You know, I always wanted to have hips. And I didn't have hips naturally. I had a lot of booty, but I didn't really have a lot of hips. So I was insecure about my hips, but I never allowed that to like really consume me until this girl named Diamond, this girl that we used to call Diamond from Atlanta, came to New Orleans, and she was a Gemini too. And me and her got into a reading session, and she came for my hips. She told me that I was built like a football player, and that she said, yeah, you got ass, but your ass sit up high like a football player. You got a man ass. It don't look like no woman ass, you know. And so I was self-conscious about it. So I ended up breaking to the peer pressure and getting pumped, but all the girls had already gotten pumped. Um, um, Nikki Narcisse, my mama at the time, Precious, Vanessa, like all of the black girls that I work with at Papa Joe's, Delicious, all of them had already gotten their boy dance feel. They had already got their face hit. Like I was literally the last of the Mohicans to go ahead and get pumped. The girls had already got it done. I was the last one because I was perfectly fine with my bubble booty and my hormone titties. I was confident and I did not want silicone. I did not believe I needed it. I thought I was fine. But peer pressure, all of the girls around me was getting pumped. There was no girls that were not pumped. So because everybody was getting pumped, I felt like the pressure to just go ahead and get pumped. Anyway, the girls, they always tried to find a reason for us to be at odds with each other. I remember one of the girls called my house, called my apartment because they thought that I was trying to pick a fight with Kat. Later the story was revealed, and you know Kat was like respected. Kat was an elder. Kat was one of the older girls, so you know she was respected in the community. And they thought that I was trying to attack Kat or fight Kat, and it was another girl who was trying to fight Kat who was from Alexandria. But because they knew me, um, Nikki had made it about me. I'm gonna go ahead and say the girl name because girl, it ain't messy when you telling the truth. So anyway, she called my phone and she said, when I see you, I'ma kick your ass. Like when I see you, I'ma fight you. So my cousin Kim was there. And my cousin Kim was like, oh no, girl, we not about to wait for her to come over here and fight you, girl. If you don't go and fight her now, then I'ma fight you. My cousin Kim was like, bitch, if you don't fight that whole bitch, I'ma fight you. So My cousin Kim fought really, really dirty. Like she used to like to bite your fingernail bed off, and I ain't feel like going through all that. Well, I just did not feel like fighting with that bitch. That bitch fight dirty. So so I didn't feel like fighting with her. So child, we went to the projects and got some skanch. We went to the projects and got some, and child, it was me, Basha, Portia. I'm trying to think. It was one more girl. Me, Basha, Portia, and Kim. And we went in the cat. We walked to the Calio projects. We got us some skanch. Then we walked back and went and knocked at her door. And matter of fact, when we was going to knock at her door, Nikki was coming back from the grocery store. She was coming back from the store. She had went and got her some food. So when she saw us coming, now if I was dirty, I would have snuck her with the food in her hand. But this is how much integrity that I've always had as a girl. I let her go and put her food down, and while she was putting her food down, she went to call her gay friends, and she didn't come back out until they pulled up. Now, if I was just on some fuck shit, you called me threatening me, you wanted to fight me. I didn't have to let you go and put your food down and let you go and call your friends. I could have just took out on you because you told me when you see me, it's on site. We was gonna fight. You was the one wanted to fight, not me. You wanted to fight me for something that wasn't even real, something that I had nothing to do with. You just didn't like me. Let's just go ahead and call it spade. You didn't like me. So, and it's crazy that she didn't like me because the first time I ever saw her, I wasn't jealous of her. I complimented her and told her how pretty she was and told her that she looked like a model. So she didn't have any reason not to like me because I wasn't jealous of her. I never hated on her. I never had anything negative to say about her. She just didn't like me. And girls, and it's a territorial thing. And so what probably is happening, and these are the little missing pieces to the puzzle that we won't hear, is that in certain circles, gay boys are probably saying, baby, that bitch is fine, because they used to love calling me the body. So the gay boys was probably living for me and saying that bitch is fish, that bitch is fine. And I think a lot of girls hearing that, because I didn't hang around a lot of gay boys. I hung around the girls. Like I hung around the girls. But when I went to gay bars, the gay boys used to live for me. The gay boys used to always, that's fish right there. Yes, ma'am, Miss Thing got body. Yes, ma'am, Miss Thing is fine. The gay boys would always give me my tens, but I wasn't close with them because I didn't do pageants. I didn't do shows. I wasn't a drag girl. So what I think it was they were hearing all the life I was getting from the gay community, and I wasn't hearing it because I didn't hang with the gay boys like that. But when I would go to the gay club, when I would do a tip through or walk through, they would give me life. They would give me my tens. And so I think that that made the girls feel intimidated because a lot of them, they live for what the gay boys think of them. A lot of trans girls live for the gay boys' opinion. They live for it. They live and breathe for it. Bitch, they live for what the gay boys think of them. I did not care. I did not care. I did not need that validation. I never needed that validation. I always got it from the straight community. No tea, no shade. I always got it. I always got my tens in a heterosexual cis world. I never really needed it. But I still fucked with the gay community. Just not so much so that I was always somewhere doing pageants and shows, needing them to worship me and needing for them to lift me up and needing for them to validate me. I still love the gay community. I would not go to the gay community. I would not go to a gay club unless I could put on. If I couldn't go in a gay club and have an entourage with me, have people with me that I bought their drinks, and I'm able to, if you need a pack of cigarettes, I could buy your cigarettes. I didn't go to the gay club unless I had money. I didn't go to the gay club unless I could shine. I ain't going to gay club broke. Bitch, I went to the gay club to stunt. Period. When I was young, when I was a young girl, when I was in my early 20s, I went to the gay club to stunt. I went to the gay club to stunt on the children. I went there when I had fashions. I went there when I had made me a nasty coin on the block. when I had turned it the night before at work, stripping. The next day I would go into the gay club, and bitch, I only went to the gay club to stunt. I didn't go to the gay club just because it was community. I did see it as community, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to put on. So that was the girl I was when I went to the gay club. I didn't go I wasn't a bar fly. Wasn't a bar fly girl. Bitch, if I can't come in and buy people around and buy people to drink, I wasn't going in the gay club begging somebody to buy me a drink. Girl, you gonna buy me a drink? Girl, you gonna buy this drink? Nah, I'm not even on the stage trying to get no tips. Now, every now and then I would do a show because I saw that as a rite of passage, and there were certain songs that came out that really, really spoke to me that I had to get on the stage with. I had to get on the stage and do Shantae Moore, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not make me cry. I need to know thou shalt love only me for eternity. Promise me. I had to get on stage to do that one. I had to get on stage and do Beyonce. Ladies, leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. And I am a girl with a friend. Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping, jumping. And I had to do you just never know. You put it off till tomorrow. Today, make it last forever and ever and always. Oh, you just never. And when I did that, bitch, I had on a motherfucking 18th century red antebellum ball gown. I had broke them children up for that. I had some platinum hair, and a pink and a hot pink fuchsia top with the fur on it, and I had some white go-go boots on. And then the last time I performed at a gay club was before Club Fusions closed down, and I had just had my sex change, and I did if you ask me, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. If you ask me, I'm ready. I did that one. That was my last time performing on a stage at a gay club. But but yeah, so there were songs, quintessential songs that just spoke to me so much that I was like, bitch, you gotta get on stage and do this. But that wasn't really my thing because I worked at Papa Joe's. And so dancing at Papa Joe's was enough. Like that fulfilled that need. But some girls have like this endless, they're empty, and they have this endless need for attention, this endless need for adoration, this endless need to be on the stage, this endless need. Like, I'm not putting down entertainers or performers. I'm just saying, girl, it's something there that maybe needs to be worked out with a therapist. Because, girl, if you working at Papa Joe's and you are dancing there 40 hours a week, girl, and you still need to be a drag superstar, girl, it's giving narcissistic. It's giving narcissistic, and I think the girl last name was Narcissist. I I'm just saying, narcissist, narcissist, the etymology, bitch. Etymology means something, bitch. So, but me and her was constantly clashing, and it was another girl that I used to clash with, and it's so crazy because these girls will never say my name. These girls will never publicly celebrate me. These girls will never acknowledge my contributions will never acknowledge my contributions. I remember one time we was raising money. We was raising money because we was trying to build collectively, and we had started something called the T Group. And so all the girls at Papa Joe's, we would give $5 to a donation. We would give $5 to a donation. And we had raised, like, within 2 weeks, all of the girls, we would put $5 together, and we had a treasurer. Now, I don't know why they didn't trust me to be the treasurer. Again, this goes, with some outside, you not from New Orleans stuff. So somehow Nikki became the treasurer of the group, right? So, girl, something happened and she ended up spending the money. Like there was no meeting had, there was no conversation had. We all put money in, we all put a lot of money in that. She bought like a speaker for like $80. We had raised like $400, $450, 400 within 2 weeks. Like if we would have kept doing that, if we would have had the discipline to keep saving that money and to keep building that money, we could have really, really started a charter and had something going on. But they trusted her with the money. And within 2 weeks, she spent the money. She bought like an $80 speaker for the club and she used the rest of the money to pay her rent and nobody told her anything. Now, let that would have been me that would have been trusted with that money. I would have never heard the end of that because every time I did anything wrong, the girls punished me. The girls nailed me to the cross like I was Jesus. It never failed. The girls always used me and made and I mean literally every time I did anything wrong, the girls would just stay on me, just eat me up. But this girl went and spent 400 and something dollars of money we all raised together, bought an $80 speaker, and nobody told her anything. Never came up again. But they didn't trust me with the money. So anyway, before that happened, going back, I remember I didn't have nowhere to stay. And it was only one girl, God got us rest her soul, or if she done been reincarnated, but my mama Precious, Tiffany Fox. That was the only one who kind of looked out for me. She was born and raised in New Orleans. She looked out for me. She had my back a bunch of times. Taught me how to survive. Really, really looked out for. And they didn't like it because she liked me. But see, Precious didn't have a jealous spirit. Like Precious wasn't the type of person, if she found out me and her had sex with the same man, she wasn't gonna get jealous and feel threatened. If I found out she slept with my man, I wasn't gonna get jealous or feel threatened. We'll sit up and laugh about that shit. And joke about that shit. But other girls, they were very territorial. If you slept with a man, and it's so crazy because everybody was sleeping with everybody. Like we all was fucking each other men, low key. Like if we're gonna keep it real. Bitches was fucking each other's men. Like there was no loyalty, and the crazy part is we all was hoes. We all was selling ass. We all was turning tricks. Nobody was being faithful to nobody. I don't give a fuck if you was a prostitute for work. You were still not being faithful. You were not in a monogamous relationship. And so if your partner cheated on you, then bitch, how can you get mad when you out here doing sex work for a living? Like it doesn't make logical sense when you play the whole tape. But there were girls who were very territorial about their man, didn't want nobody fucking their man, but meanwhile you out here fucking everybody else. And I just didn't have that relationship with I didn't have that relationship with my mama Precious. Me and her have bumped heads with the same men a couple of times, and there was never any friction behind it. And that's why I respected her, because she legitimately wasn't petty like that. Like there was never any pettiness behind it. And when I needed somewhere to stay, that was the only one who let me come stay by their house. That was the only one that welcomed me into her home. But the rest of the girls, they told me that I could not stay at their house. They told me that I could not stay. I asked Nikki, could I come stay there? She said no. I asked Delicious, could I come stay? She said no. I asked Kat, could I come stay? She said no. I asked Nadia, could I come stay? She said no. And the gag is one by one, all of them had to come sleep at my new apartment because the last place had burned down. One by one, all of the girls who told me no, they all had to come sleep at my apartment. When I asked them for a place to stay, they all told me no. They all told me you can't come because they didn't want me around. Scared I was gonna try to have their man. I was gonna pluck one of their dates or something, or didn't want me. I don't know what the tea was. Which I really honestly ain't never really thought that much into it. But I know that literally it wasn't even months after they told me I couldn't stay that one by one all of them had to come sleep by my house, and I ain't tell now one of them no, even though they easily told me no. I remember one time Delicious had lost $100, and when she said it was her 100, I found $100, and when she said it was her $100, I gave the money back to her. She gave me some money out of it, but girl, if I didn't like you, I would have never done that to you. And me and her always had friction behind this guy named Aaron. But let's be clear, I was messing with Aaron before she was. I knew Aaron first. Me and Erin had a longer history than she did, and she never liked me. So why did I owe her any loyalty? She tried to be mad at me for sleeping with him. But girl, you distanced yourself from me. You didn't like me. You didn't want to be around me. You wasn't cool with me. And this man is offering me money to sleep with me, and I'm a sex worker. Why would I turn him down? You wouldn't turn down my partner if he offered you a coin and you're a sex worker. Didn't make any sense. He paid for my hotel room and put money in my pocket to buy food. And I'm supposed to turn that down out of loyalty to you, and you don't even like me. Girl, who does that? So the issues, and then I can remember one time, um, my ex Nikki couldn't wait to come back and tell me that he had hit on her and that he flirted with her. But then when her ex hit on me, grabbed me by my face and tongued me in my mouth without my consent, and I went back and told her, she got mad at me. Instead of her being mad at him, she got mad at me. Crazy work. But when you came and told me that my man came on to you and he flirted with you, I didn't get mad. I went and found him. And I didn't bring you up. I didn't drag you. I didn't think bad of it. I wasn't, oh, girl, you lying. My man could never want you. Girl, I went and found my husband and got him back. I wasn't mad because he flirted with you. I understood it. You were beautiful. I got it. I got it. I understood. It didn't make me feel like, it didn't make me feel like I took it as a compliment. Like I didn't take it in a negative way that my husband wanted you. Like I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it like, okay, she a bad bitch. She working Papa Joe's. I get it. But when when her partner tried to have sex with me and I told her he did, she didn't get mad at him. She got mad at me. She fell out with me. And so the reason why I'm saying all of this is because it has been a long-standing history of the girls sweeping my accomplishments in community under the rug because of feelings that they harbor for me, because of how I maneuver in a way that they don't. Like there are more things that I could say on the live if I was just trying to humiliate people. There are stories that I could tell on live right now that could humiliate some of the people that I've been talking about, but that's not what this video is about. This video is not for me to humiliate people. This video is just about me explaining the backstory of why a lot of the things that I have contributed to New Orleans and the things that my work has contributed to New Orleans has been able to successfully be swept under the rug. Because if they don't acknowledge what I've done, then they don't have to worry about me getting enough visibility to ever turn on them and expose everything. Like let's keep her out of the spotlight cuz she know too much. Let's not give her too much power because she know too much, and ultimately this could backfire on us. And so that fear has kept them has caused them to treat me like the best kept secret. Fast forward fast forward to cause after when Katrina happened, I had just found out I was positive. I found out I was positive in 2003. Katrina came, thank you. Katrina came in 2005. So Katrina happened in 2005. So I was forced out of New Orleans. I went to go live in Atlanta. That's when I, met Mama Didi. And I started to learn about. I was a part of one of the first Black trans ministries in the South. Like literally, this was historic. This was heritage. Like I have receipts, and I'm gonna include all of them in there. But I started to learn about advocacy. I started to learn. I started to see Black trans women organizing. Although these were things that I was doing before I left to go there. I just didn't know that I was doing it. I didn't know that my career in advocacy started when I was at the Covenant House, and it went on through how I showed up at Papa Joe's, like and how I was a matriarchal figure. And I always had a lot of girls around me who could come stay with me, who could come live with me, who I could share space with. Like that was always a thing. But anyway, um when I when I got to when I came back from Atlanta, I had went to like 2 semesters of Beulah Heights University, and that was a mind fuck. That was a lot, having to navigate that, being a queer person and not being able to talk about my whole narrative because the space was not a space where you sign a contract and you can't talk about any LGBT activities. So every time we would talk about what we were doing in the community, I never could say anything because all the work that I was doing was tied to the LGBT community. So every time all of the other students was talking about all of the wonderful things that they was doing in the movement, I never could share because the institution that I was at respected me blending in as a cis woman, which is so crazy that they call us delusional and they say we crazy now. But I was accepted as the school. They didn't make me use he pronouns. They didn't make me present as a man. They didn't tell me, okay, well, you were born a man. You're a trans person. You cannot come here. You're gonna be he, him, sir. Da 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 da. That was so backwards. That I could go to the school dressed in women's clothes, presenting as female, as long as I never said I was trans. Long as I never talked about my affiliation with the LGBT community, I could go to the school and be a woman of God. And do you know how many trans people are successfully doing that now? Have been accepted into these institutions, have been accepted into these religions. Do you know how many trans men are doing that now, that are successfully maneuvering in these religious institutions, but being silenced? They have a gag order and they cannot talk about their full their full being, their full likeness, their full journey. They're only able to talk about the parts of themselves that align with the binary and how they show up. They're not allowed to be whole and to tell their whole story. So the institution supports trans people, but these trans people have to erase the other half of their existence. When that part of the story speaks to the power of who you are. So anyway, after surviving that, and leaving the collective ministry in Atlanta, I came back to New Orleans with a passion. Like I was on fire. And I came back with the intentions of um I'm not gonna lie, back during that time, because I was heavy in the church, there was a savior complex going on. You know, I'm coming home. I'm gonna be Harriet Tubman. I'm gonna be Harriet Tubman of the community. I'm gonna save the girls. I'm a guide the girls to freedom. There was a little bit of that. There was a little bit of that going on. There was a little bit of that going on, and it was the conditioning. You know, being in a Baptist setting, growing up in the church. It was I'm gonna be Harriet Tubman. I'm gonna save the girls, and unfortunately, a lot of the girls that I was doing the work for did not make it. Basha did not make it. Little Bit did not make it. Precious did not make it. These girls did not live to see, but they supported me at the beginning of this work. When we go through the archives, when we go through the footage, we could hear their voices singing in unison. When I gave my first sermon at MCC Church, you could hear Basha in the background. You could hear Basha talking in the background. When I preached at my house, when I gave services at my house, you could hear Little Bit singing in the background. You could hear Little Bit praise and worship. You could hear Precious praise and worship. You could hear them supporting me. And those are the girls that I was doing this work for. My daughter, Pernisha, um, I wanted her to see something different because I wanted her to survive, and I was worried for her. And out of all of them, my daughter, the longest standing relationships that I've had, Bonnie was there. Like, and to see, Bonnie's life has changed, and Pernisha's life has changed because my life changed. And I was able to model something different for them. I was able to show them something different. And during that period of my life, during that period of my life, that was when I met Milan. And and I want to be clear when I'm talking about this and when I'm telling this story. I want y'all to understand that people will paint a picture of me, but what you have to realize is it's so easy to forgive other people's flaws and to forgive other people's humanity, but let's realize I'm also a human being. I'm also having a human experience as well. Okay? Now, when I first came back and I started doing this work, I really honestly wasn't looking for any more children. I really honestly wasn't looking for any more children. Um and I'm gonna bring this up in a PowerPoint presentation. The first Dominique Morgan that I ever knew was Dominique Morgan, who passed away, um, who has successfully robbed a bank down here and got away with it, stick it to the man. Had robbed the bank and got away with it, sister. Me and Diki, that was her nickname. We had our challenges, we had our times, but I love her and I respect her. She was one of the first voices in this movement that really, really was doing advocacy. She was on a billboard. I have the receipts. She was on a billboard for HIV. She was raising awareness about HIV as a trans person. That was monumental. She suffered a lot for being on a billboard, for being the face of HIV. Sometimes she would be on a bus and she would be traveling, and boys would see her and they would say, "Oh, that's the one who got AIDS." And she would have to mace the bus and she would have to give it to the boys because she was the face of HIV before that shit was cool. At the turn of the millennium, she was on Billboard. She was the poster child for HIV in a homophobic and transphobic city. And so I'm always going to honor her for what she contributed. But this is why the movement has been so weak in Louisiana and in New Orleans specifically, because we don't honor we there's no sense of heritage. These girls love talking about what school they went to, what high school they went to, but there is no sense of heritage. There's no true sense of, it doesn't matter if I went to the school that you went to or if I'm from out your ward. I'm from Louisiana. I was born and raised in Louisiana. You have to think bigger in order to have a successful movement. And so instead of focusing on the fact that I did not go to school with you, you should understand that I am from Louisiana and I'm a Louisiana girl. If your mind can't fathom that, if your mind can't get past the fact that I didn't come from out your hood and we didn't go to school together, then you don't really want anything. And minds like yours are the reasons why all of our rights have been overturned. And it conveniently happened while I was living in New York. But these girls are so dedicated. These girls are so dedicated to revolution and evolution. But while I was in New York, everything got overturned. When the girls were getting their name removed from the sex offender registry, I was the one that put key people in touch with the Department of Justice so that they could get removed from that. Girls wouldn't have even known if I wasn't already networking within the system, if I wasn't already forming relationships with people in these institutions, if I wasn't already doing that work, sitting on the board for HIV and AIDS down at the tower before Crescent Care was a thing. Sitting on a board for HIV as the vice chair, networking with district councilmen, knew Latoya before she was the mayor, got pictures with me with several council members, was helped Milan and Wendy to get proclamated days to honor things that they were doing. New Legacy was the first entity that was networking with the city to get proclamated days to honor girls in community for what they were doing. Was doing a public access TV show raising awareness about what was going on in the black trans community when the girls were still calling each other punks and fags. And the reason why all of these things are not successful or sustainable is because a lot of the girls get in the way of their own self and they'll try to make it look like it's me. But let's be clear. I have never been so mad at a girl. I have never been so upset with a girl, had so much malice in my heart for a girl that I couldn't sit in the same room with her, that I couldn't hold a conversation with her. Let's be clear. That's never been me. And one thing that I'm going to say about Andrea, I'm going to give Andrea her props on this. Me and Andrea not besties. We don't talk all the time, but I've always been able to be real with Andrea, and Andrea has always been real with me, even when it hurted. And when Andrea got me the opportunity to work at Brotherhood, which ended badly, but I still thank her for the opportunity. One thing that Andrea said about me, and I respect Andrea for this. Andrea said that girl pulled herself up without the support of the community. She pulled herself up on her own. She did not have the gay community by herself. She built her own platform and she built her own name without the support of the community. And that's why I will always respect Andrea. Because Andrea is not only a mother in the community and a grandmother in the community, but she's a biological mother and a biological grandmother. And she has been honest and talked about the difference that I've made in community. And I respect her because she's not a hater. But it's been some of the girls that I poured the most into and that I've supported the most and that I've sacrificed the most for. They have not been able to publicly acknowledge. And they did it to harm me. But like that old saying goes, when you dig a ditch for somebody else, make sure you dig it for yourself. That's why I'm not going to do this presentation focusing on the House of Tulips. I'm going to make it a timeline that is going to accurately explore the impact that I've had on community since the beginning. When Breakout got all of that credit for um the how the police interacted with trans people, and how the police interacted with how the police were interacting with trans people. Let's be clear. The reason why that became a thing that Breakout could actually benefit from and could actually profit off of is because the last time I went to jail, I was wrongfully arrested. When I came home from jail, I stopped being scared. I knew that it meant that I had to stop doing sex work. Now I don't think I officially stopped doing sex work until around 2015, 2016. And then even after that, if a girl back against the wall, she get a coin here and there. But I was no longer actively doing sex work regularly. I stopped around 2015, like being the type of girl that was gonna go out on the block looking for a coin. But I knew that I could no longer hustle in the French quarters because I knew that I was going to be a target. So I gave up my livelihood to make sure that I could stand on business. And I wrote a letter to POB, the police, the police bureau or something like that. But I wrote a letter and I gave it to somebody important in there, and that got the ball rolling. I started working with Clinton Crawshaw. He got my story published in a couple of the gay magazines down here. I stood on the steps of City Hall. This was with before New Legacy. I talked about what was going on. All this of that stepped in to do. I got the meeting with Orlando Westbrook, who was sure that the police went through their reform. Like at that time, I got 9 girls to sit in front of the camera and tell their story, and Milan was one of those 9 girls. And that's how I physically met her. And I presented that to them, and that was what substantiated what was going on and how we were being treated in the French quarters. And that led to the work that put Breakout on the map. But let's be clear, I never got credit. New Legacy never got credit. And this is why nothing is lasting that this child is a part of. Because you don't honor legacy. And when you don't honor legacy, it will not stand. This is why a lot of these movements down here are not standing. This is why they are not solidified, because there's no legacy. They keep trying to start it with them. They don't honor the people that come before them. They keep trying to make it look like it started with you. In order to substantiate something, to legitimize something, there needs to be legacy. The reason why New Orleans keeps getting left out is because y'all won't do the family tree. Y'all won't do the tree. You have no sense of legacy. You keep trying to make it look like it started with you. That you build that does not show legacy will not have legitimacy. This is why I'm always honoring the ancestors. This is why I'm always honoring Mama Didi. This is why I'm constantly mentioning Dominique Morgan's name, Diki's name. This is why I'm constantly bringing up those girls. I'm constantly bringing up the girls who have come before me. I'm constantly burning candles to honor my ancestors, because if you don't speak to your own legacy, then it shows your intentions. Your intentions is just about you. It's really just about you. Mm-hmm. 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 We must honor our mother and father, so our days will be long on the land. But until we are stuck in this eternal narcissistic loop, aka the forever now. And this is my thing. If you feel like your biological family is more relevant to acknowledge, then why are you benefiting off the trans community? Why are you benefiting off of your chosen community? If you don't really honor your trans legacy, because that's what I get from some of them. Like, because that's where their resources really go. Their resources go into honoring their biological family. A lot of these girls, they'll take resources from the trans community and they'll funnel all of their resources into their cisgender heterosexual family. And if your work is to sustain your biological family, your heterosexual family, then why do you keep using the trans community? Because I love my mother. I love my biological sister. I love my cousins, but I'm not getting grant money and giving it to my biological family. We may go out to eat. I may get a present or something out of my cut, but I'm not paying my mama bills or paying my sister's bills or buying expensive gifts for my nieces with money that come from the trans community. It's just not gonna happen. And that's what a lot of these girls do. They get that money and they pour it back into the family. They pour it back into their biological family. And your biological family may love you, but at the end of the day, they still see how you live your life as wrong. They still see your lifestyle as wrong. They still see your lifestyle as a sin. They still think what you're doing is wrong. And so ultimately, you're sowing back into your oppression. Because your family members aren't getting out there and demanding that we have politicians who respect trans people, who respect queer people. Your families aren't showing up at those marches. Your family ain't showing up at those rallies. Your family's not putting their life on the line to see laws and policies change, to see our rights be protected. So while I love my family, while I love them, I'm not going to take money from the trans movement, from the queer movement, and pour into cisgender heterosexual activities. Not at all. And my mama know it. My sisters know it. They know it. Look, I made it, mama. I'm worthy now. Families are misgendering and smearing their names the hardest, wishing on the trans and queer children's downfall. Yeah, and that's a culture in New Orleans. Like that. That's what I know about a lot of these girls. Cause I've been around them at the movements and at the rallies, and I see who show up. And yeah, they'll stand by your side when you get that degree because that brings honor to them. That's for them. They'll stand by their side when you hosting a rally or hosting a march and you done got a huge grant and they know that grant gonna benefit them. But I'm not gonna pay for you to show up for me. And if I am gonna pay somebody to show up, it's gonna be somebody who going through the same shit I'm going through. These girls act like they be so invested in the movement, but child, you're not invested in the movement. You're a grifter. You are a legit grifter. When I started doing this work, and when I started doing the things that I was doing in New Orleans, showing up, I showed up because in the beginning, like the relationship that I have with my mama now, and the relationship that I have with my sister now, and the relationship that I have with my father now, it has changed. But I am 48 years old. When I started doing the work in New Orleans after I came home from jail, I was 33 going on 34. And my relationship with my mom was healing. My relationship with my sisters was healing. My relationship with my daddy was healing. We were not in a perfect place. Me and my daddy still had some things we had to go through. And me and my mama, we go through stuff now, but we don't go through things about me being trans. She accepts me being trans, but you know, my mom, she's getting closer to Jesus. She's practicing Christianity more. So a lot of our discourse be when we have a disagreement, it be, you know, she be trying to scare me back into the church. And we've just learned not to give each other too much. Like if she say amen around me, or she say thank God, or she say God gonna bless you or something, I just eat it because I know she mean well. I don't feel the need to amen a woman her, thank you God got us her. You know, I just go ahead and let her be where she at. And I had to get there, but at one time I felt the need to challenge her every time because it was me trying to protect myself. But once you know who you are, and once you are solidified in your faith and your practice, then you don't feel the need to always correct people or argue with people or be combative when you become solidified in who you say you are. And so there was a moment where I was like, I was trying to double down and just make sure that people get it. You know, people understand that this is not a phase. I'm not about to be calling on the name of Jesus next year. When I stepped away from it, when I get sick, when I'm in crisis, you know how they say when you going through something, when your body ill and when you get sick, baby, when I tell you there's been times where I've been so damn sick, I've been broke out all over my body, I done had to wear veils. I ain't never got so sick that I had to say Jesus. I ain't never went back to that. And don't get me wrong, I think that the stories of Jesus are beautiful. I respect the narrative of Jesus out of all the Bible. I still respect that story. I still respect that narrative, but not how they're using it on people. Not how they're trying to make people, like, not the manipulation that's behind it, because that is Jesus wouldn't have wanted any of this stuff that they're doing in his name. And so I don't support that. I don't subscribe to that. I will still draw from those stories, and I still have respect for the narrative and the ancestor that was Jesus, Horus. I still have respect for that narrative, but that's just not my spiritual practice. Um, yeah, that's just not. Meanwhile, that wasn't even his name, right? Here comes the bootlegging of, not to mention, and I quote. And so yeah, I just don't, and a lot of the girls down here, because they want access and they want that relationship, they continue to, and that to me is also weird and also crazy, to continue to uphold a religion, to continue to uphold a practice that is actively working to strip you of your rights, to strip you of your humanity, to strip you of your personhood, to strip you of your autonomy. Because let me tell you what is the leading voice. They have something down here. I think it's called I don't know if it's called the Ford Foundation or something. I can't think of the name of it right now. I'll probably have to Google it. But it's a Christian foundation that has the most power, that manipulates all of the judges and all of the politicians down here. There's a Christian organization in Louisiana that is behind all of the policy making and all the legislation. And so when I hear my own community knowing that it is the Christian movement that is being used to strip you of your autonomy, to strip you of your rights, to strip you of your sovereignty, and for you to continue to co-sign that so that you can have a seat at the table, you are not really here for our liberation. You're not really here for our collective healing. You here to get whatever crumbs you could get for you and the ones you love. And we just gonna go ahead and call a thing a thing. You are not an activist. You're not revolutionary. What you're doing is not you all of the credit that you've been given, girl, is lies and garbage. It's a fallacy, girl. And you get in front of people and you talk that Harriet Tubman and you talk that abolition talk, but behind the scenes, girl, in real life, girl, you are a grifter. And I'm speaking to a spirit. You are a grifter. And that is why so many of you continue to sweep my work up under the rug, because I've said this before and I'll say it again. I have multiple times had to choose between my trans family and my biological family. And my biological family, no. My sister said one time, she said, "You're amazing to your community." She said, "But you ain't so good with your family." And I felt played when she first said that because of conditioning. And when I thought about it, I was like, my family not good with me. Bitch, my loyalty, I don't just give loyal undying loyalty to you because we blood. I'm loyal to what's loyal to me. I fight for what fight for me. My biological family taught me that at a young age. When they cast me out, when they threw me to the wolves. And see, I seen this not only in the girls in New Orleans, but I saw this in my first partner. It's something about family life in New Orleans. It's something about, and I'm thankful that I went to go and live in Bogalusa and I was raised by my grandmother, because it didn't get me like it got them. Some type of brainwashing. But I'll never forget, I saw this first example with one of my first loves down here, who actually helped me start the movement. And I'm gonna leave him out of the document. I'm gonna leave him out of the documentary out of respect for him. I'm not gonna talk about him because he's done nothing to make me mad at him. We still conversate, we still cool. So, I'm gonna respect his wishes, and I'm a motherfucking put a heart on. If I use a picture of him, I'm gonna cover his likeness, and I might not even use it. But one of the things that I saw from him was he was desperate to have the acceptance of his family. He was desperate to have his family accept him, to be accepted by his family. So much so that he turned on me to have the support of his brother, to have his family support him. It's something about some black people. They really just need their biological family to see it for them. And I love my family, but I am not going to lose a wink of sleep if they stop fucking with me, because they've done it before. I may have to take something to help me sleep, but bitch, I'm gonna sleep. Know that. Again, I am loyal to who's loyal to me. I support who supports me. And I have received through all of the trials and tribulations that I've experienced in the black trans community and the black queer community, when I look over my life, I've made some beautiful memories with my biological family. But when I think about all of my memories and who has been there for me the most and who's shown up for me the most, hands down, it has been the queer community. It's been the trans community. When girls be saying ain't no such thing as sisterhood, ain't no such thing as the community, it's because that's your spirit. You're projecting. That's who you are. You don't believe in community. And that's why you can't foster any. You use the community for a meal ticket. You're not really invested in the community. You're a fake advocate. You're a grifter. You on the clock when you come into community. And that's why you can't foster real community. And you use the community like bargaining chips. You use the community like pawns. And the girl who I was looking at as my daughter, she's done it so many times. So much manipulation, so much mind games. I mean, for years, mind games, manipulation, pitting the community against each other. And somehow, this bitch became celebrated in the movement and became the voice of a movement. And behind the scenes, she was playing with the girls like Puppet Master. And please understand that this is a power that I have as well. I could be very manipulative. I can very, very much. But that's like literally, again, I grew out of this stuff at a young age. I would throw myself I would throw myself on the altar before I would. This same girl, ask her, did she ever have to prostitute to give me anything? Ask her. Ask her, did she ever, when she was staying with me, when she lived with me, did she ever have to go out there and turn a trick to eat? Did she ever have to work to pay bills to give me any money? Did I ever fucking pocket when she was staying with me? The bitch probably done gave me $20, $30, $40 when she was working in Pennsylvania when I was using. I asked her for a 20 here, a 20 there. But you know how much motherfucking money this bitch done got out of me? You know how much support she done got out of me? Only one of my daughters can say that we was out there doing sex work together and and one time I took money from her. And bitch, I was on crack. It's only one daughter that could tell a story of me getting some money from her and stealing her money. And even then, I had done so much for her and still continue to. But Milan can't tell you a story of how I used her, of how I when I was coming up, my mentors and the one that was teaching me the streets, they was getting money out of me. I remember one girl, I was living at her house. This bitch was sending me out to get money to pay her bills while she was in the bedroom eating her boyfriend ass with peanut butter. And I'm out in the streets hustling to pay her rent. And so I mean, it's just weird. It's weird because You don't have any stories of me using you. You don't have any stories of me taking advantage of you. You do have stories of me setting boundaries and saying, no, I've done enough. You can't come stay here again. You do have those stories. You have stories of me calling you on your shit when you was doing the fucking most. You do have those stories. You do have stories of me standing up to you and not just silently going along like everybody else because they was afraid of you. But you don't have stories of me taking advantage of you, me using you, me lying to you. You don't have those stories. Yet you distance yourself from me. None of them have those stories. Get a girl to get in front of the camera now, post Katrina, since New Legacy started, and New Legacy started in 2011, before Breakout, before all these trans organizations they got down here. All that shit was born in my living room. And if you look at the girls who are doing activism now, I guarantee you, they was in that living room at one time on Oleander. Some of the most powerful girls in activism that we have worked together, we have collaborated together. They were in that living room on Oleander. Ask them when I manipulated them. Ask them when I stole from them. Ask them when I tried to scam them or when I tried to get over on them. Ask them to tell you the story. Ask them to sit in front of a camera and publicly say it. Because I guarantee you, I will dismantle the shit out the lie. What these girls was hoping was that I would get strung out on crack and I'd be dead by now so they could paint the narrative that they wanted to paint. Or I would have got my sex change and went into stealth. Or I would have stayed in Africa. When 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 Crescent Care was getting ready to be created and all of that money went into the community, the 30 what was it, $37 million? I think $33 million. Bitch, that's a lot of money. I contributed to I played a part in getting the information that helped the trans community to be a part of that grant. And they got a lot of information. They were able to build programs around the trans community for years behind the stuff that I did on that council. The money that came in through the state, the 7 million that came in for the state, together this is like $40 million that I was legit in the room. I was legit a part of this money when it was coming in. And all of these resources came into the community, these $40 million. And I'm not going to blame the whole community for how that money was mismanaged because let's be clear, a lot of trans people weren't put into positions of power. We were put in basic entry level positions. We never really had any power. We didn't really get access to no major coins. But the girls are so easy to be bought off. Bitch, I'ma take your check and keep on talking. And if I had $1,000 for every time somebody told me without you none of this would be possible behind the scenes. If I had $1,000, I have a nice little nest egg. But that's the problem with that. It's behind the scenes. And when you say things behind the scenes, that's how you gatekeep resources. That's how you keep me from getting the money. You pacify me by saying, "Oh, if it wasn't for you, none of this would be possible." I could name drop a couple of names right now. Some motherfuckers is making probably $200,000 a year by now, if not more. Without you, none of this would be possible. But bitch, you won't publicly say it. You know why? Because if y'all would have said that collectively together, then it would have legitimized me getting access to more resources. And I would be able to do more. I wouldn't be struggling right now to make ends meet. Trying to on here live now asking for donations to be able to get to my hometown so that I can have a consecration service for work that I've been doing 8 years plus. Cause I'm not greedy. I don't chase the money. I don't be in spaces and places cooning and shucking and jiving trying to get a coin. I don't show up everywhere trying to get a coin. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to create this PowerPoint presentation and I got so much stuff that I could speak to. It's literally so many things that I've been a part of and that I was there from the beginning. Creating the timeline is difficult because I don't want it to take forever. I don't want it to take forever, but I have been a part of so many things. I've been an integral part of so many things, and I just needed to get on here and process some of that out so that get out the hurt, get out the anger, get out the disappointment, get out the frustration, um and just center myself because this is going to be a living document that's going to live on. And I don't want to let my spite, I don't want to let my pettiness, and let's be clear, my daddy is very petty, both of them. My mother is petty. My chosen mother and my sis mother, they share a birthday with Beyonce. At one time, I had a whole month. November was devoted to pettiness, so I can be a really petty person. I can I can channel petty, and I am trying not to live in petty. I am trying not to. I am trying to uh, 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 develop beyond petty. My God has got one today, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge because I fight with these entities in my mind that say these bitches playing with you. I had a girl to tell me one time, and if she see this video, she gonna know who I'm talking about. When I left to New York, she said that I was erasing myself from the community. No, ma'am, I was expanding. I was building a bridge. Now girls are successfully moving to New York and starting over in New York because I left to go there. This work started in my living room on Oleander, and now girls from New Orleans are finding sanctuary and community and refuge in New York because of me. But you girls don't get that because I'm not tied to an organization. It's not a white man giving me a check every month. You can't respect it because I'm not tied to an organization that a white man giving me money directly. I never gave up on New Orleans. I never stopped supporting New Orleans. New Orleans. The whole while I was in New York, I was coming down here working on projects. Always honoring New Orleans, always celebrate New Orleans. I was opening another door. I was expanding territory. But because you girls, I went to Cohen, I went to Kennedy, you girls can't see that. It's like what happened to Dorothy in the Wiz. She said in the Wiz, she said you never been past 125th Street. And that's the mentality of a lot of y'all in New Orleans. You never been past 125th Street. And it's going to take a whole storm. It's going to take a whole uprooting to get you to go and explore and learn perspective. Y'all want to be so rooted and y'all want to brag on being here for generations and generations, but everything around you is changing. Y'all can brag about never leaving New Orleans, but literally New Orleans is continuing to change around you. All of your neighbors is from from somewhere else. And like they literally they done tore down all of the old stuff and they putting up all new stuff. All of your communities is surrounded by people who've actually traveled and been somewhere, who've seen things and are coming from somewhere else to live here. So what y'all try to make my weakness in closing for this video, what y'all try to make my weakness is actually my strength. I could say now, since that living room on Oleander, I've been to Canada twice, Montreal. I've been to Africa twice. I've lived in New York. Child, I've been to Oklahoma for months at a time. I've been to Texas several times. I've been to child, I've just been all over the place at this point. I've been to California a few times. Like I've actually been places and I've actually done things. Been to Florida a few times. Like I've seen more of this world and I'm not boxed in. I lived in Milwaukee in my childhood. So I've seen things, I've been places, I've experienced life. And that is not a diminishment. That does not make me less than you. That does not make me less valuable than you. It actually makes me an asset. And a lot of you are so blinded by your own egos, you can't see it. And you try to paint this picture of me that appears to be distrustworthy when it's really you that are not to be trusted. It's really you that's not to be trusted. It's a projection. You're not to be trusted. And I'm going to tell you, like Celie said in Color Purple, until you do right by me, everything you do is going to fail. Because it's a lot of you that I have helped to be platformed and to be where you are and to get the name and the leverage that you have in community, and you have tried to remove me, and people have accepted you doing that to me because again, I did not grow up here. But you can't take my birthright from me, Pooh. God, this will make your enemies your footstool. You better say that. They're weaponizing and diluting and capitalizing his story. Hmm. Family needs to be redefined because it's more than blood. But a lot of cases, a lot of blood families prey and harm trans and queer people the most and expect to be loyal to them due to them titles. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mother, there are many transsexuals walking around claiming to be transsexuals, but are really just wearing silicone suits, enjoying chasers, money, and attention that causes us pain. Mmm. Even the devil masquerades as an angel of light for profit. You better say that. Mother, you don't understand the work you do behind closed doors and interpersonally. What those who silence you both feel but choose not to do. And and it's the sad thing about it is in the end what they always say was done in the dark comes to light, you know, and it's the truth. So I know it's gonna come to light. And this is why I am so diligent in making content like this. Because when it comes to light, I don't want no bitches spinning no narratives. After me and Milan fell out, and she said that I stayed dragging her when in the times that we have talked. She said that I stayed dragging her. She said that this lady kept her, and I did not. You know, I talked about her in one video and didn't even say her name. And I drug her while I was in Africa. And that was after me and her had got into it. But I wasn't always on my platform like reading her. Like I don't know where that narrative come from. I don't know if she it was just a hit dog hollering or she just felt red. But I literally took one video. It may have been a couple of videos before then that I drug her. But the reason why I drug her was because I invested so much into her. And I don't think that she understands that relationship because she's never like really invested in people like that. Like all of her trans daughters, they're gone. Like she had a daughter named Myri. Myra, she don't really fuck with Myra no more. She had another daughter, Cobella. You know, they cool, but she don't really fuck with Cobella no more. They're cordial, but they're not really like. And then I think Relly's supposed to be her daughter now, but she uses people. Like she uses people for her convenience. She uses them when it's convenient for her, like when she needs them, like when it benefits her. Like that's how she is. That's how she was with her mother. Like she'll pick one mother. Like at first her mama was Brianna. Then she wanted to do something different, and she saw a way that she could use me, and so then she claimed me. Then after they wanted to get her body done, then she claimed the girl who was doing the pumping as her mama. So she's very much of, while it looks good for me, while it looks cute for me, while it's beneficial to me, oh, you're my daughter, you're my daughter, you're my mama. But once it no longer serves her agenda, once it no longer benefits her, then oh no, we're not related anymore. We're not tied to each other anymore. So I mean, she's done this multiple times. That's definitely, wait, hold on. Shit. This bitch moves slow. Yeah, that's definitely the person that she's proven herself to be, and that's the person that I've seen her to be. Like she'll swift around, but if you look like with her trans daughters, there's no consistent, like, you can't go through her timeline and see a daughter that she's had in her life for 15 years or for 10 years, this whole time that she's been in the movement, but she's so invested in community, and you don't even have immediate family in the trans community that you could consistently say that you have been, y'all have been committed in each other's lives, and y'all have rock solid relationships 10, 15 years later. Like me and Bonnie get into it, but there's a timeline, there's receipts. You can see that we have a bond that has been consistent. Pernisha, my oldest, we've gotten into it. Yeah, we've had difficult times. Yeah, we done felt like family do that. But there's consistently, for 20 something years, you've seen us in each other's lives. Me and Jasmine, we get into it, we fall out. But for 20 something years, we have consistently been in each other's lives, calling each other sister, introducing our children to each other. Our children my children call Jasmine auntie, her children call me auntie. And this has been for 20 something years. But you would call yourself the mother of confusion, the mother of arguments, the mother of getting people to fight against each other. It was a whole ego fest. It was a whole narcissistic fest. And so when we start talking about, like, and that's just what I want the community to get better at. I want the community to become better at paying attention to the receipts, because the receipts ain't gonna never lie. You can look at people background, you can look at people timeline, and you could see what people are really about by what they post on their page, what you see on their timeline. You can see what a person really stands for and what a person is really about. If a person is talking about they are here for the trans community and they support the trans community, where's your trans family? Where's your consistent trans family? Me and Empathy have gotten into it on and off publicly on the internet, and that's still my child, and I still love her. And Empathy was Milan's daughter at one time, and she threw her away too, and tried to turn Empathy against me, and me and Empathy still in each other's life. She was the one who got Empathy to get on the internet saying that I tried to sexually assault her. She was the one who put them cookies in Empathy head while she was vulnerable. A master manipulator. But just look at how many daughters have she had consistently. Have she had consistently trans daughters, but you're a mother? How many daughters has she had consistently that she have not thrown away? How many mothers have she had consistently that she has not thrown away? And if you have not consistently been able to maintain a healthy relationship with any of your mothers, any of your daughters, that's your character, because it's not if if you'd have ran through that many daughters and that many mamas and a now healthy relationship and a healthy sustained relationship, then ma'am, it sounds like you're the problem. Let's have that conversation. Because that generation be quick to talk about accountability. Let's have some. Let's have some. And I want you to take and I want you to look at all the other girls in this community. I want you to take and I want you to look at all the other girls in this community. And I want you to see all of the girls who sit in front of this camera and talk about advocacy this and trans pride and trans lives matter and all this. Look at over the years where they've managed to build community. Look at over the years who has been loyalty, who's been loyal, who's been consistent in their lives, who still aligns themselves with them, who still supports them, and let the receipts speak for themselves. Before y'all just go off of who you think the cutest or who you think's the most attractive or who you think is more relatable. Really, honestly and truly, just play the whole tape. Whether you like me or not, whether you fuck with me or not, look at the receipts. Cause they're there. Posted. Facebook is a timeline. YouTube is a timeline. Instagram is a timeline. TikTok is a timeline. Motherfuckers changing mamas and daughters like draws. You can't even build with you can't even build with your direct tribe. You can't even build with your direct chosen tribe. You don't need no organization because you're not really about community, and you've proven that. That's a conversation a lot of people don't. So when you start putting these people in positions and giving these people opportunities, you see how they maneuver and see how they value community. See, when I write grants, I only write grants that speak to the work that I'm doing. That's why I get aggravated with the grant writing process, because some of the questions they repeat and they ask you over and over again. And because I'm doing this work, it's I know these questions are redundant. You're asking me what drawed me to this work. Why do I feel why am I inspired by this work? Because I live this work. I live this work. I eat, shit, and breathe this work. I eat, sleep, breathe, and shit. I live this work. I don't take no day off. I wake up this work. Even when I'm doing what I'm doing for me, because what I like to do for fun and through my therapy and through my counseling sessions, like I've learned myself and to do nice things for myself. And even when I'm doing those things, it still impacts my perspective. It still impacts how I see things. So even when I'm relaxed, even when I'm doing something that's solely for me, it has nothing to do with Lay Lim Lay Lur or nothing to do with Purple Thought, the perspective and the peace that I get from that experience still influences how I see the world, how I interpret things. And so therefore it is contributing to Purple Thought. When I say I live this, even when the intention is for it not to be about the work, it still automatically and ultimately ends up contributing to the work. And my health and well-being impact the work. So ultimately, it's still contributing to the work. But yeah, so Tell, I've been on this live a good 3 hours, and child, we is on 13%, and I don't want this phone to go dead. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. It don't even look like this girl is charging for some reason. This girl look like she's just giving and playing. Yeah, this girl is playing, so I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. And then I'm kind of like I'm running through so many chargers, and these chargers legit playing with me. My good charger done got messed up again. It's done slid out the hole for some strange reason. But if anybody wants to donate to again, if anybody wants to donate to what we trying to do for the consecration at the end of the month, the consecration we're trying to do on the 19th and the 20th. If y'all want to support it, feel free to at Layler Cash App. Thank you so much. To my daughter Fatima in the comments. Healing all the way from the UK, and as always, Purple Prodigy, who is been a major system to me, helping me to navigate my mania, my depression, and just helping to keep me focused on the work. I'm just so thankful for community and thankful to be a safe space for community, even with everything that I have going on in my life. Thank y'all for here supporting. Thank you for booting out the trolls. And I want you to understand that a lot of people who um, for those of you who may have comments about, well, why she publicly say these things, or why does she get online and say these things? I want you to know that the girls who are not getting online talking about this, they struggling too. They just don't get online and say it. Child, they somewhere smoking 20, 30 blunts, stress eating, trust me, dealing with the same trauma, just dealing with it privately, acting out in a different way. And somebody has to be someone has to have the courage to publicly talk about the trauma. Okay, okay, hair thinning, everything, because bitch, that should be going on right in the top of my damn head. But yeah, stress eating, blunt after blunt after blunt after blunt after blunt, nerves so bad, cases still shaking like a leaf, stress the fuck out, pretending like it's peace. But it's always peace. Yet every time we look around, you somewhere trying to fight somebody. Still a bully. Still a bully. So it is what it is. Just because they don't have the courage to sit in front of the camera and bear all and tell the truth, unless it's a scripted, pre-recorded documentary. And then there's another thing that I want to say in closing. And then some people will think the worst of you and think that you are capable of saying malicious things about them, like like regarding statuses. Because I do want to have this conversation, and I'm gonna jump on this right fast. So, back in I think it was 2009 or 2010. This was when she was my daughter, and we was arguing about something. And I tested positive. I had been positive forever, and I wasn't ashamed of it. Like I was talking about it, and it was no tea. And she came in the comment section and she said it ain't nothing positive about Tila but her status. And when it circled back, and the virus made its way into her life, she thought that I was maliciously dragging her. She thought that I was talking about her behind her back, and it was a projection. I did go to somebody that was close to me, and I told them because when she dumped it on me, I needed somebody that I felt safe talking to. And instead of her understanding that, she took it as me betraying her trust. Now, mind you, this is the same person who got on Facebook and said ain't nothing positive about me but my status. But when I went to one person in private, and how she knew that I told the person, not the person didn't come and say, hey, Tila telling your business or Kaneen telling your business. I told her. I went back to her and told her that I needed somebody to vent to, that I needed somebody to talk to. And when I told her, she lost it. She wore me out. She fell out with me. She talked about me like a dog. Now, mind you, she said on Facebook wasn't nothing positive about me but my status for everybody, for all of our friends to see, for all everybody on the Facebook. But I went to one person to vent to them because she was dumping a lot on me at the time, and I was going through my own shit. So I needed somebody that I trusted, and the person that I told it to was also positive. So it wasn't like they was gonna use it for anything malicious. That was a safe space for me to go and talk. And so that she knew, I went back and told her, I said, this can also be a safe space for you. I told her, and then she just wore me out. And all this time, she's been thinking, like, even when she publicized her story, she called herself publicizing her story because she was trying to get in front of other people telling her story. Like it was a strategy, her coming out about her status because she didn't want nobody else to out her. So that was her way of taking back her power by publicly coming out and saying that she was positive. The way that she spent that whole narrative, it wasn't even about it was more so about getting in front of it, but nobody was going to use that against you because I know what it feels like. I would never use your status to be harmful towards you. I'm living with this. Why would I use your status to drag you? And so it was a projection. And a lot of times she has attacked me and she has said things to me, and it was projections. The whole damn time it was projections. She projected on me so many damn times. Storage on the phone over capacity from monitoring. Health shaming is beyond demonic to me. I'm so sorry. I've experienced this too. Exactly. Milan has animosity already brewing in her chest and was waiting for an opportunity. Yeah, so I'm in this space now of I'm in this space now of you don't trust because you're not trustworthy. And that's what I'm learning about a lot of people. People who struggle with trust, people who struggle with trust issues. You don't trust because you're not trustworthy. You think the worst of other people because are. You don't, you've always issues. You hate my relationship with Andrea. You hate my relationship with her, and you want me to pick a side and give loyalty to you, and it's a trick to cut me off from other people, which is like a unhealthy form. It's an unhealthy domestic relationship. It's unhealthy. That's like domestic violence. Like when you in a relationship with a man and he isolates you and keeps you from dealing with other people so that he can control you. He move you away from the family and move you away from your friends so that he can manipulate you. It's that type of toxicity that don't speak to them because I don't speak to them. No, I'm not doing that because I don't have no problem with Andrea. Me and her don't talk all the time, but when we do talk, it's not fake. I don't have to guess what she thinking because she gonna tell me. That's one thing I could say. Me and her don't chop it up all the time, but when we see each other, it's like we picked up where we left off at. Like I could see her today and her gonna pick up where we left off at. Every fucking time. Andrea is not finna beat around the bush with me. She not gonna tippy toe. She not gonna tell me what I wanna hear. She gonna keep it 100% a buck. But the other one is the type of person that will grin in your face and be stabbing you in your bag. And you wonder why I still talk to her. Cause I like to know what I'm getting. And even after this lady cut me off and stopped speaking to me, when we call ourselves trying to heal, I created opportunities to give this lady funds and resources. Meanwhile, I did not benefit a dollar from the House of Tulips. Never got $1. They had T.S. Madison to come in there and speak at the opening of that thing, speak at the opening of that event, when I literally put down the groundwork for all of so many of the things that happen here. And rather than creating an opportunity for me to speak at the christening, and you wonder why their organization didn't last 2 years. Without legacy, there's no longevity. Without legacy, there is no longevity. And you could let your pride get in the way, but it will always be your downfall. Without legacy, there is no longevity. And even though I don't fuck with you, I will never erase your contributions to the movement. I will question them, I will critique them, but I will never erase them. And that's what you tried to do to me. Then you said in private and you apologized and you said how wrong you were. And the last time we talked on the phone, because I kept it a beam with you, you played in my face. And I know you don't fuck with me because I've been back in New Orleans. I'm here a lot. And you ain't rang my phone one time because you couldn't handle what I told you the last time we talked. And I said that I wasn't the type of person that would go live and talk about you. And that's what I said then. But then when I thought about it, when I thought about how you got me again, like you literally, you're very strategic. You befriended me when the House of Tulips was falling apart because you knew that the person that I am is very much like me because I don't play favoritism. We Jasmine will say this. Jasmine was working for the organization and I would read them when she was working there. And what would Jasmine say? That's Kaneen being Kaneen. That's Tila being Tila. The organization Andrea was working for. I read that organization. That's Tila being Tila. That's Kaneen being Kaneen. The girls know I don't play favorites. If it's a shambles, if it's a mess, I'ma call it out. If it's some shady happenings going on, I'ma call it out. But you played to my vulnerability to seeing you as one of my children. You started calling me mama again, and you started grinning in my face again because House of Tulips was on a decline and you didn't want me to get on here and publicly drag the House of Tulips. So you played nice. You didn't want me to call out all of the things that you didn't want me to speak on it. So you pretended that we was good again when we never really was. We never really was. You never invited me to your house. You never said, let's go get something to eat. You didn't really fuck with me. But you were playing nice because you didn't want me to get on the internet and call it out. Hey, Madre. Hey, Mama. So I'm onto it, Neil. Like I got it. I caught the tea. You know, I get it. I get it. You got down. You shit it. You did your big one. But just know that all of the lifelines are up, the free passes are up, and I'm not doing that anymore for anybody. Like I'm not showing favoritism. I'm not having grace when something stank, when something smell fishy, when it's not right. It's not gonna be about picks and chooses. It's not gonna be about, oh, girl, well, that's my daughter. Let me show her some. Nuh-uh. I'm gonna do it just like I've done with everybody else. I did not show grace for any of the organizations that any of my other siblings were working at, that any of my other community members weren't working with. I kept it a beam. I kept it a beam about brotherhood. I kept it a beam about Crescent Care. I kept it a beam about all of these organizations that I felt was doing. I even said things about women with a vision. I done talked about the state. I called all of that out. And at the time when I could have really had jumped on that house of tulips and really called that house of tulips out, I kept my mouth shut because I thought me and you were rekindling and we were bonding and we were getting back together. But I really should have ate the house of tulips up. And it would have been fair. Would have been fair. Would have been fair. Yeah, and I'm not gonna feel guilty about that. I said what I said. hmm and this shows my growth because if I would have talked about this a couple of years ago, I would you baby the things the way that this stuff would have came out of my mouth, it would have been so thoughtless, so reckless, because there's so many things that I could say if I was just trying to be childish and sensitive. But that's not what this is about. This is about, I have always recorded for good and bad, for better or for worse. I have celebrated the community's successes. I have applauded the community on its successes. I have spoke positively about the community. I've bragged on the community. I've raved on the community. But the other side of that Gemini, the other side of that Twitch, when it's a mess, when it's foolish, when it's below the mark, when you've missed the mark, there's the other side of that. There's that accountability piece. And I have held my tongue in critical times. I held my tongue on breakout while you was working there when I should have been wearing breakout here. And I held my tongue on House of Tulips because of you. I took a jab or two, and it was quick jabs. But I never did go into my thorough deep dive. And if I was really just trying to make a name for myself and really just trying to build my platform, those were viral moments for me where a girl could have got her a little check if nothing else. Girl could have got her a little YouTube check, dragging y'all. Cause it's clear I ain't gonna get no money from y'all. So bitch, why not? You bitches didn't give a fuck about me. Why not get me a coin? Let me stop. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and let this go. Get off this nerve. I've said enough. I have other things I need to do. I have dedicated what 3 hours to this, like 3 hours and some change to this live. But I tell you, I feel 10 pounds lighter. Bitch, I feel 10 pounds lighter. Yes, honey. I am so thankful to be able to process at this capacity and to be able to speak with this much authenticity and vulnerability and just to be this transparent. And when I tell you I feel 10, I feel like I just went to the bathroom and I just made a number two. I feel like I just dropped the kids off at the pool. And I am so thankful. So anyway, that's all I got for this live. That's all I got for this live, Jill. Go ahead and get off this live, honey. Energy must be transmuted. It cannot be. It cannot. It cannot hold such weight and bear the responsibility of their abuser's shame. Right. Right. I will not bear the burden of my abuser's shame, honey. I will not bear that burden, honey. I will not bear that. I will not bear that at all. Not going into 2026. I'm not carrying that. And y'all might get another live. Y'all might get another one. But I want to make sure that this energy does not taint my presentation, because that presentation is going to be used when I'm speaking places, when I'm sharing in places. And so I needed to process this and I wanted to be a record of it. And when I get ready to do the presentation and I talk about the presentation, I don't want to be taking petty jabs because I didn't get a chance to process. That's what this platform is for. This platform is for me to process, for me to vent, for me to heal, and for me to vent on record, so that when I have transitioned this world, there will never be any confusion about who I was close with and who I was not. Cause this is what happens when you don't publicly document. Cause a lot of y'all will be like, why you have to share that? This is what happens when you don't publicly document your relationship with people and where you are. If something happens to you, these people can claim more. They can take up more space than they should be allowed to. They can they can they can glamorize a story and say, "Oh, we didn't talk that much, but we was good. We was in a good place." No, no, we were not. No, we wasn't. No, we wasn't. And I don't want it to be any confusion about those things. I learned from what happened with Marsha P. Johnson. I learned from elders in community who have passed on, and people who they did not fuck with, and people who were exploiting them, and people who were using them were able to come in like grifters and benefit off of their legacy. And I don't want that. So I learned from my elders, you know, um even Miss Major has talked about this multiple times, how they used her, how they were using her. And I learned from that. I learned from watching my elders, girls who were disloyal, and girls who had abandoned them, and community members who weren't really supporting them. And then all of a sudden, after they passed, you crying and falling out. That was my mama and I loved her. Blah, blah, blah. Bitch, no. No. No, manipulate and weaponize your silence and make it work in their favor. Exactly. And you will not on my watch. So that's why, that if people are confused about why I do things like this, is because I want it to be clear. And I've told my daughters who I am close with, we've had conversations in the background. And I say, because my subscribers, the people who people who've been around for years, y'all are come in my comment section and say, I ain't seen you in a video with so and so in a little while. I ain't seen what's going on with you and so and so. And I'm like this. If we done fell out and we not speaking and it's been about 2 or 3 months, I'd be like, oh, we good, we cool, da 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 da. It's been about 4 or 5 months. I'd be like, oh yeah, well, I saw them, we talked on the phone, da da da. I might try to protect the conversation and try to keep it out of public for a while. But child, if it's getting into years, and it's getting into almost a year, and it's been a long time, and I'm feeling like we just not close and we just really don't fuck with you, I'm not gonna keep lying. And so there's a conversation that I have to have with them to say, hey, look, you can feel how you want to feel, but I'm going to publicly express this because my platform was built on my transparency and my vulnerability. And when I am not allowing myself to be transparent and I'm not allowing myself to be vulnerable, that's not healthy for me. I'm a transparent person. I'm a person who is vulnerable. And when I am not able to share at that capacity, that does something to me. So no, like you said, I'm not carrying the weight of my abusers. So if it's something going on behind the scenes, I ain't gonna lie, out of love and loyalty, for a little while I keep it cute and y'all questions and I make up things and I glaze over it. But chill, when I see this ain't healing, this ain't getting no better, girl, I don't fuck with her. Bitch, we ain't talking. You wanna hear the story? Well, here you go. And I tell them that. Anyway, I love y'all and I've enjoyed, getting this off my chest and expressing myself and just having this moment to vent and share and heal collectively and just reveal truth and just give y'all some backstory, give y'all some context for the PowerPoint presentation that will be coming out in a couple of weeks. It's gonna chronicleize New Legacy's impact on the Black trans movement in New Orleans. It's going to be a summation. Of course, obviously, I've been talking for 4 hours. It's not going to be able to fit everything in there. That is why I wanted to vent a little bit so that I wouldn't feel the need to make a 30-page slide. I'm gonna try to keep it down to maybe like 18 slides. I'm trying to do 18 slides, maybe 14. But I'm trying to keep it under 18 at max 21. But yeah, this is gonna be a presentation that I'm going to use to talk about the impact, because the girls will try to erase you. They try to erase me with all this hating. Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be coming out, and it's gonna be for the consecration. So it's gonna be coming out around um the 19th or the 20th. That's when I'm going to release it, around the 19th or the 20th. So I'm giving myself some time to work on it so that I don't feel overwhelmed. And I'm also working on my installation piece. I worked on that all day the day before yesterday. So those are the two big things that I got going here at the platform. And Nadia, Purple Prodigy, is continuing to work on the podcast that we're building. So we got the podcast coming. We got the empathy's working on some things as well. But we got the podcast coming for sure. We got the chronicalized story that speaks to the development and the impact New Legacy um merging into Purple Thought has had on the Black trans movement in Louisiana and abroad. Um, we're that's going to be coming. That's going to be a celebration PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to mention the House of Tulips in the presentation. And instead of me just saying the House of Tulips, really, I was just gonna go ahead and do it. We're not gonna turn on House of Tulips. We're not. This, this shit is bigger than around. So as it originally was going to do, it's going to be mentioned because we have to talk about the impact. But this is bigger. It's about the timeline. It's about the impact of the work. Because I realize, bitch, if you don't document your own shit, ain't nobody else gonna do it, huh? All All right. Well, that's all I got for y'all. I love y'all. Y'all take care. Laylim Layla Nation. Purple ones. Rise. Love you, Fatima. Talk to you later.